Hopefully when I move, that won't happen. I have good internet. Like, I have, like, that, like, advertised as gig speed, like, fast home Wi-Fi or whatever. And it works really well when it's connected, but it seems to go in and out more and more these days. I'm guessing it's just more people working from home in the post-COVID economy, or still current COVID economy, however you want to look at it. But basically, I think like more people are watching Netflix and more people are working from home, and the internet just goes out sometimes now. I don't know. Thank you, Pushel HS. Appreciate the subscription. Anyways, I don't know what you heard and what you didn't before it cut out and came back, but I was just basically saying what my pod was. So let's get to the draft. Are you guys out there? I can't tell. Like, I know I'm being quiet. It's because I'm looking up information, but there's also no chatter. Okay, cool. Just checking. I know it's rare that I'm not running my mouth, but I'm like on the Discord getting the pod info right now. Cool, cool. Hey, what's up, Acid Junkie? The Missing Ben FP geek? Never. Let me make sure I get the info for the sweatsuit because they might be waiting on me in the pod now since it's just after 7. Definitely give my opinion on the Watsy announcement. I mean, it really wasn't much of an announcement. I mean, as far as organized play, which is why a lot of us are pretty unhappy with it. But, anyways, hold on. Let me get in the pod. Oops. Voice channel, not where I want it to be. Here we go. Announcements. Okay, they haven't posted the session ID yet, so that's going to fire in a second. No, it's really not itchy. I've just gotten in the habit of rubbing it a lot because it's kind of soft, but it really doesn't like hurt anymore at all, the beard. But let's see. I've been a Commander player and I decided to try Limited. Oh, welcome, Wiggles. I personally think Commander's really cool. I'm just not really into multiplayer. But Limited is like a lot of like low power, long games, attacking and blocking. Got to trade and create value. At least that's how it's supposed to be when it's functioning well. Oh yeah, so as far as the WotC announcement, yeah, so like WotC basically said they're ending Rivals and MPL, but they'll still be like championship level tournaments. That they're still going to run big tournaments. There just probably won't be like a official pro circuit or whatever. Like they'll have a tournament that might have a $500,000 first prize and $1 million prize pool, but there won't be like a league pro or a platinum pro or whatever. Okay, whatever. That's not what I would do if I were them. I think it's a really bad choice. I think organized play has been a big part of Magic's like growth and sustained growth over a really long period. But like that's what they're doing. It's their company, right? Not mine. So then this announcement, they basically didn't announce anything as far as that. They announced a bunch of cool things as far as like, you know, what IPs and like, you know, themes and some promotions for like, you know, casual type Magic. And they said they're not going to run Grand Prix because it's not really safe right now because of COVID. Fair. But they basically just said nothing about the future of OP. Like, they didn't say what the tournament scene will look like in 2022, like in any way. So that's why competitive players were pretty pissed about the announcement. Just kind of like, hi, tell us what you're going to run. Like, you know, at least like the scope of the prize pool and what you're thinking. Like, you don't have to have all the details. Just be like, all right, you know we told you we were ending these leagues and there's not going to be like pro status, but we're still going to run big tournaments. Okay, the plan is around $5 million worth of pro level tournaments or whatever. You know, tell us some of the details, right? But yeah, I mean, the draft arena open, I am excited about. And listen, I mean, I'll play online if it's safe again, and there's like a qualifier near me. I might play, I might not, right? But I don't care that much. Like on a personal level, I'm not really trying to be like a I don't know the word for this. I don't want to say like a grinder again, but like I'm not looking to like have to be queued for everything. Like if I queue for some big things and they're sweet, I'll happily play. If they had a pro system and I happen to spike a high level or whatever, I'll happily take it. But I'm not like that's not really a big priority of mine. But what is a big priority of mine is that there's a competitive play system to kind of build around for people to know what's going on so that like they know that's going to be there, that it's going to be supported, and other people can build around that because you know WotC does a great job like making Magic. They've never done that great of a job with like OP in terms of the logistics, in terms of the like the points are this, we're trying to accomplish this, we're trying to accomplish that. You know, a lot of the different choices were pretty bad, like how they use the individual slots, what the point thresholds were, like the way they created like division. I just don't overall think it was executed that well, but I think it was a very good thing. So if WotC wants to like put up like, hey, like this is what we're gonna do, and then let other people, let's say, organize tournament series and maybe create some kind of outside systems and stuff like that, that could be like a good thing potentially. I'm not saying it's what I would advocate for. Like, I would advocate for them just running a great interconnected OP themselves and just, like, tying together arena and in-person play and just, like, you can make it all work. It's not going to all work perfectly, but you got to just, you know, have the stomach to get on Twitter and say, like, hey, this is a global game. It's not going to be equally accessible for every single person, but we're doing the best we can to tie in the most people in the most fair way. Here's what we're offering. But if they're not going to do that, which is what I would do, then I would probably, my next choice would probably be just like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to run these $10 million worth of tournaments over the course of the year. It's going to look something like this. If you are a tournament organizer and you want to run Magic tournaments alongside it, great. If you can make them as big and successful as you can, here's what we're going to have for the community. Here's what we're offering up. You know, go build around this. So we'll see. Hey, thanks for subscribing, Nate Fennelly. Appreciate the 9 months. We did make a baby. What is it? Can it be Dominaria, or does it have to be like, you know, Adventures Limited? I'd really like it to be Dominaria if I'm going to have a baby. I mean, a lot of people might be pissed about the IP experiments for different reasons. I don't care about that really either way. Like, some of that stuff I think is cool. Some of it isn't for me, like whatever. But I really just care about Magic as a strategy game, not really in terms of flavor or things like that. So they can do whatever they want with IPs as far as I care. That's not really that's not the angle which I analyze from. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with caring about that. I'm just saying, me personally, I care about the strategy game aspect only, basically. I don't really care about the secondary market. I don't really care about the flavor, the IP, the storyline. I pretty much only care about Magic as a strategy game. Still the best strategy game of all time, though. So they still got me for now. All right, let me see if the pods are up. Okay, I don't see the pods yet. Something might be wrong this week. Hopefully, it's not just me. Thanks, Hypnotoad. All beard compliments are allowed, welcomed, and appreciated. Literally, I'm turning 38 years old, like in 2 months, almost 38. And the longest I had gone without shaving before this current run is probably like 10 days. I had literally never had a beard, like an actual one. I would always start shaving once it was, I would always shave once it started itching, like day 4, 5, 6. Thanks, Gringo. I'm not sure what you mean, Wiggles. Financial burden. I mean, certainly there's variance in your income, and you have to save and get ahead and be smart or whatever. Okay, pods are up. The beard adds 10 years, Hypnotoad. That's what everybody says. I aged 10 years this month. What's up, Ixa? What's up, Haruko app? Yeah, that little gray patch. You know what's really funny? So, from my like childhood, like the second, let's say the second half where I can remember it all, Brett Favre was probably like the quarterback that time with that the most. Like I remember the end of Marino's career, but like he started on the team like the year I was born. But like Brett Favre, I remember pretty much his whole career. And he had like a gray beard, like when he left Green Bay for those last couple of years, and he was right around my age then. He's older than me, but like this is 10 years ago or 12 years ago or whatever. But he was around 37 then, and he had this like gray beard. So I'm basically Brett Favre then. Thanks, Brewhemoth. Appreciate the subscription. I'm jealous that you got to see that, Saul. I know the Dolphins were good then. They went to like a Super Bowl before Marino. I mean, I think they lost them both in 82 and 84, but they went to like two Super Bowls like in 82 and 84. But I'm born in 83 towards the end of it, so I never really got to see or appreciate those. And then I just got to watch them lose a bunch in the 90s and 2000s. Hey, cheers, Brazil. No, yeah, I know it was. I know Marino only went to the one Super Bowl. He famously went to one Super Bowl his rookie year and then never again. I just didn't like. I don't know all the players on the '82 team or anything, but I'm pretty sure my Dolphins history is they went to the three Super Bowls in a row when they had the undefeated team. They won two in a row and they lost one, and then in the '80s they lost two. And I think those are the five we've been to, I believe. When we had the undefeated team, we won two, lost one, and then in the '80s we went 0 for 2. Dolphins are my team, yeah. It's hard to stay like motivated because they've been bad for so long, but I'm still into the Dolphins. It's not like the Marlins where like nobody here really likes them because they ship out all their best players every 2 years. The Dolphins I think have been trying to put together a good team for 20 years. They just haven't had a good quarterback or good management or good coaching or good anything. 10 years wiser. I don't know if facial hair works like that. I think I've gotten some food stuck in it from time to time. I don't know if I can get any knowledge stuck into it. Oh yeah, Marino was great for sure. And yeah, we never really had defense basically his whole career. Yeah, that's how it is for everybody, Dangle. I was too. Like I was watching the Braves when I was like 8, 10 years old, because we didn't have the Marlins yet, and then we got the Marlins, and I was all excited, and then we won the World Series like 3 or 4 years later, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then all the players that were good on the team were gone like 2 years later. Then we win the World Series again, and we're like, oh, this is awesome. And then all those good players are gone like 2 years later. Then we built that new stadium, and they like signed Hanley Ramirez, I think was our best player at the time, and they went and got like what was his name, like Jose Rivera or somebody from the Mets, and it looked like we were trying to be serious again. And then like a year later, all those players were gone too. It's just impossible to be a Marlins fan. Jose Reyes, that's who I was thinking of, yeah. And yeah, they signed, yeah, and then literally like a year later, all three of those guys were gone. Like it's just like the Marlins like try to piss they're like Watsy. They basically purposefully piss their fans off as much as possible. I'm not sure why that's their business strategy, either Watsy or the Marlins, but that is what it feels like sometimes. To be clear, I'm kidding. I don't think either the Marlins or Watsy that do that on purpose, but it does feel that way. Nah, not at all, Hypnotoad. They're not in our division. We never play them deep in the playoffs. I'm happy for the Bucks. I mean, I have mixed emotions on Brady, but like as a whole, if like when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won their Super Bowl in like 2002, it wasn't like I don't think most Dolphin fans would have said anything but like good job, congrats Tampa or whatever, enjoy. Like nobody sees like a rivalry between the Dolphins and the Bucks. Well, it's not a coincidence, Saul. I mean, baseball's a high variance sport, but we also shipped off almost all those our good players from those World Series teams very quickly after. So it's like, if you dismantle the team after you win, you're probably not going to just win again. Obviously, it's variance that we got first, as opposed to just losing in the World Series or losing in the national finals. But really, it's like they just dismantled those teams right after they won. Like the year, 2 years later, like almost all the best players were gone. That's why me and Dangle, who's from South Florida, also are talking about how much we hate the Marlins. Thank you, Clump BR. Appreciate that subscription. Yeah, Crix knows. Basically, like, I'm glad Brady's not in my division anymore, and, like, he's really old and playing really well, and, like, Tampa's a lovable team. Like, if they're playing the Dolphins, I root for the Dolphins, but, like, I'm just happy to have Brady out of our division after literally 20 years. It's funny. It's so true, though. Are we going to start this thing? All eight of us are here, right? It's already on, what, 7:20? 5, 6, 7, 8. Probably my fault, but I don't know what's going on. I'm like messing around with joining like Discord voice and streaming, sharing channels and stuff. So if anything weird happens on the stream, just let me know. Like if you hear a bunch of voices or something like that, or you don't hear mine and my mouth is moving or anything like that, just let me know. I don't actually wear sweatsuits. I wear sweatpants a lot. Like I pretty much wear like tank tops if I'm not going in anywhere cold for a long period, basketball shorts if it's like hot during the summer, sweatpants and t-shirts if I'm going to stay in somewhere cold, like a casino or a Magic convention or store or whatever. Like my baseline is sweatpants and a t-shirt, and that can get downgraded to like basketball shorts and tank tops if I expect to be outside or not in cold places. Poker's going well. Poker's been good. I wouldn't wish COVID on the world for any bonus to poker. Obviously, it's like COVID is awful and horrific, but I think it's actually made the poker games better here. Oh, it's never cold outside, Burnator. But I mean, like in casinos and magic stores and movie theaters and whatever places where it's like in the like where it's going to be like 60 to 70 degrees. Then I just prefer sweatpants and a t-shirt. I'm not even like someone who bundles up under those temperatures. Like I just like sweatpants over basketball shorts when it's like 65 degrees. But like I'm good in a t-shirt and sweatpants or whatever. Um, So an interesting question, Karaki. I would say like I'm mostly just trying to make as much money as I can per hour. So when it's more popular, I don't really see I don't really care that much about like competitiveness. Let's say. Okay. Just trying to make my camera a little smaller. I'll just move it. So I don't really know how to do this cube. So I know we won the last time we cubed, and I know like next to nothing about cube, but y'all can help me. That would be great because I don't know what's good in cube. Okay, so let's see. I know dual lands are things you always value pretty highly. I'm guessing Inspiring Vantage is nothing special unless red white's like a really good aggro deck. Do any of these cards seem like especially good? Ugin, if you start with it, 8's a lot, but we can draft ramp and card drawing. Ugin's probably pretty powerful. At least if we start with something like that, we can draft around it. Teferi's probably good, but unless people are playing counter spells, this is probably not like some incredible card. And my guess is to just take Ugin and try and draft like a ramp control-ish deck around it, but Ugin might also be unplayable. I, again, don't draft this cube or know what cube we're drafting. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Nobody in the chat seems to be objecting, so I'm going to take Ugin. All right, so along those lines, we're looking for more win cons or ramp or whatever. Obviously, Ugin's a really, really, really powerful, great 8-mana win con that can catch you up from no matter how behind you are, but it costs 8. So you're not looking to play it in aggro. You're trying to draft some sort of ramp control, etc. So Balagid Recovery is probably pretty good. Spell in the late game land if you need a land. That's the kind of split card that I imagine will overperform. Sovereign, but you gotta have creatures to crew it. Kaya's another pretty good win con. Deals with whatever. It has a lot of loyalty. That would be good in the same kind of deck as Ugin. Yeah, Solum. That's a perfect card for ramp and all of that. You know, gets you land 5, and then if you draw another card, that helps you make more land drops up to 8. I think Solum makes a lot of sense, especially because we're colorless at this point. So, like, we can stay colorless, and we know we now have the ability to splash. I think Solum, unless Kaya's busted or something, is a pretty clear choice. It goes really well with Ugin, and it's 2 colorless cards, so we can still take good cards in any color. Hey, thanks, Andy Pip. Appreciate the subscription. Yeah, I agree. I think this is an easy Solum. I mean, listen, again, I'm not going to assert anything tonight with a high degree of confidence. I don't even know the cards in this cube. I don't know what cube we're playing. I don't play cube. So I'm effectively a noob here. So I've played with all these cards. I'm old. I've played a lot of Magic. But, so, I mean, I'm not going to have a high degree of confidence in my picks. But we're still going to, be strategic. Like, we first picked an 8-mana win con. We're going to wait a 4-mana ramp card that's efficient. Okay, so anyways, Liliana is probably another really powerful, good planeswalker as far as a win con. Kills 2 creatures if you need to -4 it when it comes into play. It's a very good, like, catch-up and win con type planeswalker. If we wanted to go, like, a creature ramp route, Verdurous Gearhulk might be pretty busted. I mean, this card is really good. Like, even if they kill it after, you keep the counters, you spread them around. What is this, Wrath? Wrath would be good for ramp as well. I don't know that I want to commit to double white yet. It's probably one of the less likely colors to play. Oracle's good in ramp too. Yeah, we could take Oracle. I mean, remember, we're not ramp yet so much as defensive and control. I think this is probably a pick between Oracle, Lily, and Gearhulk. If there's a lot of green creature-based ramp, like a lot of Llanowar Elf type cards and little elves, we might want the Gearhulk over the Oracle. If green is more of like a big spell ramp deck, involving heavy land counts, then we probably want the Oracle. And, like, if black is, like, a good color for control in this format, we might have wanted 6-mana Lily. 6-mana Lily's really good. I mean, if the opponent has 2 creatures out and you have none, it's a Wrath of God and a Planeswalker, right? Like, and it has 1,000,000 loyalty, it protects itself well. 6-mana Lily's always a good win con. Okay, so Carnage Tyrant could be powerful, especially if we board it in or something. It's another good win condition, but it doesn't catch you up from that far behind. And I mean, I think we're gonna have a powerful late game. I don't think we're that interested in Carnage Tyrant. I think it's fine. Crux of Fate would be really good if we draft Control, which is what we have so far. Morden Canine kind of along the same way, or Doomblade. I mean, we could take Knight of Reliquary. There's a lot of different interesting cards here. I'm gonna grab the Knight because we just took Oracle, and maybe we'll draft like a creature ramp deck. I think like the Wraths are still good with Oracle, of course, but I think the Knight maybe goes better with them. I don't even know what cards are in this cube. I genuinely have no idea. All right, so 4 blue, we can't count on that. Final Glory could be good. Again, another nice late game card for a ramp deck. Hinterland Harbor is a good duel, clearly. What is this? I don't even know what this card is. Cycle of Duels. Okay, it comes into play tapped. You name any other color, so that's pretty good if we're playing black. So this is like, I mean, we have 2 green cards, one that's only green. So we could take Hinterland Harbor. We could take Finale of Glory if we think that's going to be really a powerful card, and we have Knight and Finale of Glory. I mean, white's not always the best ramp control color, but you do have access to Wraths and stuff. Yeah, Hoof. I don't know. These cards are all pretty close. Oh, I messed up, so I guess we got Mythos. Sorry. Try not to let that happen again. Okay, so Elspeth Conquers Death is another nice white-green ramp control card, so that's already looking pretty appealing, as is Doomscar. So, I mean, not knowing the cards in this cube, I was somewhat worried that all the white cards would be really aggressive, but that doesn't seem to be the case. White seems like it lends itself to control and ramp pretty well in this cube. So I think that's probably where we want to be looking. Llanowar Visionary, Elspeth Conquers Death, Doomscar, Priest, all of these seem like pretty good cards for us. Tendershoot Dryad, I would play like any of these. I think ECD, just based on how good it was in Constructed, is probably going to be the right pick. But yeah, I mean, it looks to me like green-white, like ramp control could be a thing here. I mean, I'm not saying it's like a focused archetype in the cube, just the green and white cards seem like they lend themselves to this pretty well. All right, so Hornet Queen, another nice win con because you get a bunch of creatures right when you play it, so it can catch you up from any amount behind. This is the blue comes into play tap duel, not really interested in that. We don't have blue cards yet. Forget this Mythos, that was a misclick, and no reason I think we're going to play that. Icy is pretty good removal. It goes well with Wraths because you can tap things down, making them to overcommit and then Wrath away more. I feel like Hedron Archive is generally pretty good with something like Ugin, though. I talk about this concept sometimes with ramp, right? It's like the synergy is with what you're ramping into. So a 4-mana ramp 2 synergizes well with cards that cost 7 or more. We already have one card that costs 8 and is really powerful. Our whole deck is kind of built around like ramp and late game so far, and it's only pack 1. So I think Hedron Archive might work out really well for us. Icy could have been better. I definitely can't say with any confidence. All right, so the white pathways we're interested in, because even though we're not interested in this Mythos, we could very easy splash blue, put 1 island in our deck, and we have Solemn and Knight and probably more fixing. Oh, this is a red-green one, so we're really interested in this one as well because we're green. If we're green-white ramp, we're basically green-white splash whatever. Glorious Protector doesn't seem very good to me. I don't think that's a card we're looking to play. The Mythos was a misclick. Unlikely to make our deck. I think we're going to take one of the dual lands. I'll go with red-green. It's just between red-green and white-blue. Basically a crapshoot. We don't have any red cards. We don't have any blue cards. We're looking pretty green-white at the moment. I mean, listen, we might play blue-white control or blue-green. I mean, we could drop an Elspeth Conquers Death and a Knight. Like, we don't know for sure what we're going to play. I'm just saying based on what we have right now, how it looks. Okay, so Faceless Haven is great if you can activate it. But I assume there's not that many snowlands. Thirst for Knowledge could be good. We already have a few artifacts. If we end up with like a light blue splash, maybe we'll play that. And we are drafting late game control type stuff, so maybe we end up blue-green or blue-white still. Who knows? Okay, Balagid Recovery looks pretty strong to me. Old Growth Troll seems hard to cast. Icing Frost Tyrant, this is a pretty good card. I mean, if it dies, you still get something, but we're not a creature deck. I think there's a pretty clear Balagid Recovery. This is a card that's just the best kind of modal. In the late game, it's an Ugin or an Elspeth Conquers Death. In the early game, it's a land if we need it to be. Just literally the best kind of modal. So the Gearhulk came back. We're not really a creature deck, but I think that's still a clear choice over the rest of this. And we don't have any sweepers, so like at this point, we could still end up playing a bunch of like, you know, green and white ramp creatures and card drawing creatures. Or we could end up with 3 Wraths. It just depends what comes the rest of the way. But, I mean, we did pass somebody a Wrath of God and a Doomscar. So somebody's out there probably drafting like a white-black or blue-white control with Wraths. So I don't necessarily think we're going to get that. So Doomblade, super easy to splash. Blast Zone is actually pretty good in ramp decks, but we're not like flooded with duals or colored sources. So I kind of think I want the Doomblade. Pretty good, like near unconditional removal for a deck looking to play long games. Definitely going to take that over a card that's 4 blue or Witch's Oven. I don't think I really have to explain that one. Thanks, Detsy. What's up? Hey, Priest could be good for our deck. I mean, Priest is not a very good aggro card, but Priest helps you hit land drops by replacing itself. So if we're going to draft this like ultimate rampy deck, then like Priest could end up pretty good for us. All right, let's see. So anything look really exciting for green-white ramp in this pack? Not really. I mean, Elish Norn, I mean, that's a pretty powerful one. Sweeps the board, catches you up pretty nice. Primal Command searches for a creature, which is not super great for us. Could definitely take Elish Norn for power. Otherwise, like Power Word Kill, we already have a Doomblade to splash. Or like a white-black duel to already help facilitate that. I mean, we're not that top-heavy, and we have Conqueror's Death to bring back a dead creature. I'm down to try some Elish Norn. Plus, if we don't end up with Wraths, which I think is likely, we passed Wrath of God and Doomscar already, so there's somebody out there drafting like a white-black or a blue-white type control. So I think we're likely going to end up a green-white ramp creature deck, and which means something like Elish Norn will be at its absolute best. So I think we should probably try and plan for that with Verdurous, Gearhulk, and Elish Norn. That we're not going to be a ramp deck. We're going to be a ramp deck, but we're not going to be a Wrath deck. We're going to be a creature-based ramp deck, most likely. Well, hello there, Oko. So we certainly could cast Oko. And we're already considering a light blue splash, potentially. We have a Thirst, not that we're committed to that. Archon of Sun's Grace, I mean, it's a pretty good card if you have a lot of enchantments. We've got the Elspeth Conqueror's Death, but I don't think we're going to play that many enchantments. Otherwise, these cards don't seem that powerful or useful for us. I mean, Scarab God, obviously, but that would be the double splash, which, you know, might be worth it, but we're green-white. I'd rather splash just a blue card than a blue and black card. I don't think God Eternal Ronus. Well, if we're going to be a really creature-heavy deck, maybe. This doubles all your creature's power and toughness. I'm going to assume Oko is just flat busted. I mean, this card is, like, banned in every format now, right? Like, restricted in Vintage, banned in Legacy. I don't actually know if that's true, but, I mean, Oko is just one of the most busted cards ever. And, I mean, it's right in our wheelhouse. We're drafting green-white. We have the ability to light splash blue pretty easily if we want to prioritize that. So, I'm going to assume Oko will be flat busted for us. Okay, so let's see. So, green-white splash blue is where we're at. Terramorphic Expanse could be good fixing for that if there's nothing too strong for us in this pack. Brainstorm off the splash, nah. Toski would probably be pretty good, though. If we're going to draft a bunch of elves and stuff like that, Toski's going to end up really good in our deck. Halvar, probably not great. I think we go with the Terramorphic here. If we can table the Toski, then we'll probably play it. But if we're going to draft like a 3 to 4 color ramp deck, we got to prioritize something like Terramorphic Expanse. We already have Solemn, so it's not like we're looking to draft a bunch of duels and not put a basic island in our deck. Our splash is we're gonna play at least like one basic island, and then we can get it with Terramorphic or Solemn or probably some other green cards we'll draft the rest of the way. Okay, so a green-white Triome and black, so that's pretty useful. We have a Doomblade we may or may not splash, so this is potentially 3 of our colors on. I obviously this Eidolon is not something we're gonna take. The green-blue duel would be good as well. That's obviously a pretty good duel. Angel of Sanctions, this exiles something when it comes into play, right? They get it back if it leaves play, but then you can bring back the Angel again. This definitely has potential for a green-white control. Ooh, Asika could be good. This gives you mana of any color, ramps, blocks well, and then sometimes in the late game we might actually cast it and just win with it. I think Asika might be a nice card for us. Otherwise, Assassin's Trophy, if we're doing the black splash, we would play. I think this is basically between Angel of Sanctions, Asika, and the Triome. I'm kind of feeling Asika. It's going to allow us to cast our blue cards. Also, we might just be able to produce all 5 in some late games and cast it for the win. Seems like a pretty good card for what we're trying to do. I'm not drafting this for fun. I mean, I'm trying to draft to give myself the highest chance to win I can. I'm not saying I'm drafting optimally for that. I don't even know the cards in this cube, but I am trying not to draft like a fun deck, but a deck that will win. All right, so this is fine removal, nothing special. I mean, you don't really want to play it for 2. You can in a pinch. A white duel, that looks pretty good. White is one of our base colors. Like, we're pretty solidly white, green, splash, whatever we splash. So anything that's white X or green X is a good duel for us. Portable Hole is probably better in cube than it is normally, but still probably not exciting. It only kills small things. Kind of feel similarly about March. It's like, it can win us a game, but we're not looking to be a creature pump deck. I think this is just Thriving Heath. Still a dual land. If we already have white, we can call blue or green or whatever. You know, it's just a useful duel. Not one of the best, but if we're going to draft a 4-color-ish green-white deck, we're going to want white and green duels. All right, Questing Beast, probably fine. I mean, this card was incredible. It saw a lot of standard play its whole time, but it doesn't fit what we're trying to do, so I'm guessing it's fairly medium for us. Because it's just an independently really powerful card, but it doesn't really fit our theme or anything. This is a red-white duel, which we're not really interested in, right? We don't have a red splash at the moment. We have blue and black. Cavalier of Dawn, destroy up to 1 non-land permanent. They create a 3/3. That could be us or them. I like that. We are going to have little creatures to kill, and they might have planeswalkers. And then when it dies, you can return an artifact or enchantment. We have good ones of that. I like this. If triple white doesn't end up being too big of an issue, I think Cavalier will be good for us. Return target artifact or enchantment from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, I think that Elspeth... I think Cavalier Dawn, if we can cast it, will be quite good for us. Mariah's Wake, yeah. I mean, it's going to let us cast Ugin, Elish Norn, Finale for the win. And it's going to pump our little creatures out. It could be good for us. Otherwise, we're taking, what, Shifting Ceratops, which is fine. Yeah, let's do it. Let's take some Mirari's Wake. We're not gonna half it. We're going all the way here. We got Elish Norn, Ugin, Conquers Death, Cavaliers, X-Spells. Like, we're definitely going big. All right, I guess here's a good opportunity to pick up like a white-black duel, because we'll probably play 1 Swamp and play Doomblade and some other removal spell we get. So, and this isn't overmuch. Frog Myth, this isn't like, you know, Dungeons Limited. This is just the worst of our 5/5 drops, I think. Playable maybe, but not exciting. So I think this is pretty clearly, we just take the black-white duel to help facilitate a Doomblade, possibly another removal spell that we splash. It's not over much. Okay, seems like Cave again. White's one of our main colors. This gives us the ability to get value out of the land slot. It's not really over anything. It's just a pretty simple pick. Yeah, we need some cheap rampers. We need some elves, like I keep talking about. I mean, our curve isn't that high as far as starting to impact the board and stuff. We just don't do anything on 1 yet, and we don't have much for 2, just a Doomblade. So yeah, we really do just need like 1 and 2 mana, like ramp and elf cards if they exist. So white-black could help the splash. Got Eternal Ruinous. Would be fine if we got more of those type of elves, but that's what we're lacking as is. I think we just take the Courtyard. I mean, there's plenty of black removal, it seems like, and green and white is going to struggle to fill that 2-drop slot well, and we want direct removal for a deck like this looking to play long games. So I'm pretty happy to solidify a little bit of a light black splash as well. Just 1 basic swamp is all we got to do, and then we'll have plenty of sources. We've got like the Heath, the Expanse, the Snarl, the Courtyard here, and then we've got the Knight to go search for the black source. Asika makes black. Simulacrum can search out the black source. So, I mean, 1 basic swamp gives us a ton of sources. Humiliate's a card I would play, but probably not off the splash. Eidolon, I guess if we're this hurting for 2 drops, at least maybe we'll board it in. I mean, it's not what we're looking to do. I don't think we're going to play these cards. Do we have anything that profits from blinking? Conquers Death. This doesn't even blink enchantments? Yuck. I don't know. I don't think we're going to play any of these cards. There's no way we're playing any of these cards. I guess I'll deny somebody the counter over the blue-red duel. I guess in a pinch I might board in a counter. If we do a light blue splash, I'm obviously not going to main a double blue card, but if we were going to play like epically long late games, I might board in a double blue counter in that kind of matchup, even off the splash. Okay, so let's see what's here. So, good Finale, but black is definitely a splash. Hollowblade's like a fine 2-drop. I mean, it's an aggressive card, but also it's resilient. It's just a good 2-drop. Like, we can certainly... It's not like it can't block. Like, we can certainly play Hollowblade, and it's a good blocker if we really need a 2-drop badly. Nissa is a pretty good planeswalker, but we're doing good on our 5-drop slot and our power and win cons. As has been said by the chat, I completely agree. What we need is cheap ramp cards, not more power. Resplendent Angel's not that expensive. This would be a nice 3-drop. Rada, but then we got to go back to splashing red, which we certainly could do. Natural Order, no. We don't have cheap creatures. That's not going to help us. 6 mana Ugin, not nearly as powerful as 8, but it does let you cast 8 mana Ugin the next turn. Chromatic Lantern, yeah, good fixing and good ramp, but 2 mana ramp's a lot better than 3 mana ramp, but 3 mana ramp would still be good for us. I could definitely see taking Lantern. I could definitely see taking Ugin the Ineffable here. Or Hollowblade just to have a 2-drop. I think Lantern does make the most sense, especially as we were looking at a black splash and a blue splash at the moment. So if we do splash black, which then this is really easy to cast to kill planeswalkers or literally anything. Black, green, white, kill anything. So that's good. Loyal Warhound's probably better for us, though there's probably a higher chance we would table it. But Loyal Warhound's kind of exactly what we want, right? We can play that on turn 3 and then go get a land. Yeah, Warhound is excellent for us. Sun's Nemesis we'd play, not very exciting. Yeah, I think this is just Warhound or Mythos. And I think the Warhound is better, and we need the 2-drop, so I think that's a pretty clear choice. All right, let's see. Pretty good Triome, right? Black, green, and blue. We're playing all of those, so that's definitely in consideration. Just good fixing. Thalia, non-creature spells cost 1 more. No, even though we have a lot of creatures for like a ramp deck, we also have like artifacts and stuff. That's not what we're trying to do. Perilous Mirror blocks pretty well, but I mean, I think there's a pretty clear Triome. I mean, these are cycling lands and they're tri-lands. I mean, these are just good fixers. It's like an Evolving Wilds, but it just adds all of the kinds of mana, and you can cycle it if you draw it in the late game. And Evolving Wilds or Terramorphic Expanse, that's a good fixer for a 4-color deck. And think about how much better a Triome is than that. These Triomes are really incredible. All right, so we could grab a Shockland in our main colors. We'll probably do that unless there's good early game stuff, or the Pathway. I don't even know which is better, the Path or the Shock. Well, you know what? There's probably not 2 green-white players. Maybe we take the Lovestruck Beast. That's a pretty good early game card for us, because we're not looking for actual early game cards like Aspirant. But this, you get a 1/1 and a 5/5, and it lets you use your mana on turn 1. So Lovestruck Beast actually looks pretty good. And then maybe we can table one of these lands. I mean, I'd rather be taking the dual lands, but we really don't have much early game. This is a late game card also, like a really late game card. So I think Lovestruck being a 1 and a 3, I think we pretty much need that at this point. Hopefully we'll table either the Pathway or the Garden. I'd be totally happy to get either one. I don't even know which one is better for us. They're both excellent duels. Like, after, actual revised Savannah or whatever, they might be like the next best duels, like the Pathways and the Shocklands. Okay, so this would be a good Tri-land. Land spell modal. This would be good. Another good land, basically. Gives us resiliency and all that. We would still much rather have anything cheap and productive. I don't know if that exists. The Tome would be decent. The Palladium Mirror, that just dies. I mean, it's not an exciting 3-mana card, I don't think. I think the Tome would be pretty good because that doesn't die. It lets us spend our mana productively on turn 2. I think the turn Timber Symbiosis is probably just better, though. I really like these land spell split cards. Like I said, if we draw a lot of lands and we cast Wake, then we'll just play this for 7 mana. If we have a land light hand, we get to play this as a land, and that could win us a game we would have lost if we would have missed a land drop. I love land spell modals. I'm probably valuing it too highly, but I've always been a really big fan of that like overall mechanic. Okay, so Scoot Swarm is pretty good if we're going to play long games. We're not actually ramping out lands very often. We have a few ways to do that. We have Oracle, Simulacrum, Knight works well with it. And we don't have no ramp. In addition to the ones I just named, we have Lantern and Asika and Oka. We have Archive. We have plenty of ways to make additional mana. We really just want some 2-mana cards, to be honest. Like, it's not an issue of needing ramp or fixing. We just need 2-mana cards. So yeah, given this has sideboard and stuff, I think Rex Sage is probably better than Scoot Swarm, but we really just badly need to take 2 mana cards at this point that we can actually play on turn 2. To be clear, Regrowth doesn't count. Regrowth is probably a fine card, it's just not a 2 mana card because you can never play it on turn 2. Dancing Sword, okay, you can use your mana, but then you have to equip things, so that's not really going to help us either. How's this command? Return a creature card with more mana cost 2 or less. We're not going to do that very often. Gain 4, that could be useful. We do have a great late game. Draw a card, counter a creature. Seems okay. Bestiary, well, we get a Scry every turn, but we really don't cast that many creatures, and it doesn't impact the board for 3. And we're already going to be falling behind. I don't think that's what we want. I'm going to take this command. Okay, so Chevil's good, but we're splashing black, but we do have a lot of sources, and we do need 2 mana cards, like I've said 15 times in the past minute. Red's the only color we're not splashing. Colgan's command's probably good, but not that good. So I think this, yeah, I think we just take Cheval here. I mean, we'll try and play as many black sources as we can. We should still be able to cast this on turn 2 a decent amount of the time, and it's just a good type card that's cheap for a control deck. Okay, so the only 2 mana card is kind of the opposite of what we want. It's just going to ping us. We could take Resplendent Angel if you gain 5 or more life. Do we do that anyways besides the Angel itself? Surprisingly little. Command gains 4. It's not really what our deck does. I think Tatyova looks pretty good for our deck. Now this is an easy Mythos. I have no idea what is up with the audio popping. Like, I literally put on the noise gate. It fixed a bunch of other little things, but, like, it has something to do with Discord. It only happens when I'm connected to Discord. So if anybody has any idea what would cause that between the Yeti mic, Streamlabs OBS, and Discord, and Twitch, I don't know, but I'd love to fix it. It's not for lack of will. It's for lack of understanding that it's not getting fixed. Yeah, maybe Mana Tithe. Is that card playable without ways to discard it, though? Because, I mean, it is a dead card in a lot of games. I feel like that card is good if you can, like, you know, loot or rummage it out of your hand. But if you can't, it's probably not good. The only thing I know about the popping audio thing is it only happens when I'm, like, on Discord, screen sharing, or connected to a voice channel or something like that. So it definitely has something to do with that, but I don't know what. Gemrazor, not great for our deck. Definitely a good sideboard card. It depends how many artifacts and enchantments there are in this cube, which seem like quite a bit, to be honest. Well, we're splashing blue because we have Oko and Tatyova and Thirst, but Thirst is the least of them. Yeah, it was interesting that neither Celeste nor land wheeled. I did expect to get one of those back. Regress is a cool pickup. Yeah, so our deck's good except for turn 2. From turn 3 on, our deck is awesome. I can play this Eidolon just to literally have something to cast. Loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers your opponent's control cost 1 more. Whatever. It's not a good 2-drop, but it doesn't affect us in any negative way. I can't play Thalia because I have a lot of non-creatures. So how many cards do I have here? I mean, these are lands mostly. I mean, you can definitely count them kind of as in-betweens, but I can also just play it as a land. I don't think we have that much to blink for profit. Gemrazor feels like more of a sideboard card. That should not be there. Umbrusk or whatever. Everything else kind of wants to be there, though. So this is how many cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 11, 15, 19, 27. Not bad. So we make a few cuts. Oh, we have Balagad Recovery, too. So it's like 26. So let's say we wanted to play 18 lands, given we also have Balagad Recovery and Turntimber Symbiosis, counting those as lands, though. So we would play 24 here. We'd play 22 here, counting the Balagad and the Turntimber as lands. And we have 3, 6, 8, 12, 15, 18, 21, 26. So we're looking to cut a few more cards. So Regrow's probably going to go... The 2-drops are some of my weakest, but we're not looking to cut 2-drops. Anything after that is cuttable. Maybe like Rex Sage in the sideboard. Command off the splash seems pretty cuttable. This very last cut is actually going to be hard. It could be the finale, but I like the Expel with the Wake. What's our very last cut? I mean, I think we almost certainly want to play 18 lands if we're counting the 2 land spell modals as lands, because that's only 16 other than those. And like Triumph Cycles, like we have 2 creature lands. Like we're not gonna flood. Yeah, cuttable. Let's see what the cuttable cards are. Like Finale, Cavalier, Gearhulk. These are pretty much not cuttable. These are not cuttable. Thirst. These are pretty much not cuttable. And 2s are not cuttable, not because they're so good, just because we have so few. So we pretty much have to cut from these 4 cards. Just one of these 4. The other 3 go in. I think it pretty much has to be Thirst, Gearhulk, Finale, or Cavalier. Those feel like the weakest cards. Not counting the 2-drops. Could definitely be Thirst, but we do have some artifacts to discard. Like Chromatic Lantern, if we already have mana, we'll be happy to discard. I guess Archive always draws 2 more cards, and Simulacrum does a lot. Yeah, let's just get rid of Thirst. I'm with it. For the same point I just made is why we can get rid of Thirst, because we basically can't flood. We're playing 18 lands. 2 of them are good spells in the late game, so those aren't going to flood, right? Balagad Recovery and Symbiosis. If we draw those, we just cast them. Another one cycles. These 2 attack. So we basically are pretty flood-proof. So for that reason, Thirst does not offer us a ton. Okay, so let's do the lands. Obviously, 1 black, 1 blue. No more, no less. And then we do need a lot of both white and green, though, as much as we can have. Pretty even between the 2. Do we have any white or green fixers for the other one? Loyal Warhound only gets plains, right? Basic plains, so that doesn't help us with green. Esika does produce white, so that's a green fixer for white. We already have to have green and white for night, so that doesn't help us. So we pretty much just have 1 green card that produces white and no white cards that produce green. And it actually looks like, if anything, we have a little more white than green in terms of like double and triple white and stuff. So we want basically dead even green and white. So that makes doing our mana pretty easy. 4, 7, 8. So we have another 9 lands to add. So let's see. Right now, lands that are producing white are 1, 2, 3. I'm just not going to count stuff like Expanse because that's everything, obviously. 4. And then lands that are producing green are Triome. And that's it? Okay. So we're 4 to 1, and we have 9 lands to add. So we can add 3 forests and then 3 and 3. So if we add 6 forests and 3 plains, that should get us to about 7 and 7, not counting Terramorphic and Heath and whatever. Somewhere right around there. I might have counted the Heath as a white by mistake. It's really a white-green duel, but whatever. You get the point. So that looks pretty good. So take that. Actually, though, I kind of really want 2 basic plains to search out with all of our double and triple white cards. So that might be a bit of a curveball. But let me add in for now 2 plains and then, what was it, like 6 forests? We won't need more than that. Oh, yeah, and we have 2 green lands that don't produce white. I forgot about those. Wow. Okay, so that means we want to cut at least 1 forest for 1 plains. Let me redo that. Sorry. I counted 4-1, but it's actually 4 to 3 because these were in the spell pile instead of the land pile by mistake, and these both produce green but not white. So it's actually 4 to 3. So what we actually want is 1 more forest than plains, which actually works out better. 4-3 is perfect. Now we'll always have enough plains to search for with our Terramorphic Expanse or our Solum, and we get the balanced green and white we wanted to. That actually was good. But, well, I mean, whatever, it is what it is. But I just forgot that the Symbiosis and the Balagad Recovery were green producers. So anyways, now we have 4 green, 5, 6, 7. Now I'll just count it total. 8, 9. And then for white, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're producing 9 green and 8 white. And then we have a Esika. Perfect. That's definitely as good as we're going to do. The Craghorn's red-green. We're not playing red. Oh, but I should still put it in because it might let us cast a Sika. So I should play it over a forest, but we don't have any red cards. Good call. Good catch, Life Puzzler. I would have missed that. I wasn't thinking about it for a Sika. Okay, so import. Well, max decks. I don't know. Let's get rid of whatever this nonsense they just put on with the latest update is. Fireworks. Nah, they're too dangerous. Dungeon delving? That sounds even more dangerous. What is WotC trying to do to me? Armed and dangerous. All right, I guess we figured it out. How many decks do I have to delete? I was full, but they imported all these decks into my account. I blame them. Thanks, Dara. Yeah, I see where it shows at the top right. Okay, well, this time the error happened for some other reason. Let's reinvestigate. Might be the Craghorn. I know these things struggle with pathways sometimes. No, it's Doomblade. Oh, it's an M14 Doomblade, which is not on Arena or something like that, it's saying. I mean, I'm sure there are sets Doomblade is in, so I can just, like, make it a different one or something. Okay, so I think Doomblade is the problem. Oh, so I just have to craft it or something like that? It's a rare from the Mystical Archive? Does that mean I can make it or not? Like, how does that work? I'm pretty sure it's showing me an M14 Doomblade, but obviously, yeah, it's mystical or whatever it is. I don't know, but, like, how do I make it on Arena? Take it out and then add it back in? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes the low-tech solution is the best one, right? It's probably just the easiest way to accomplish this. So let's do, I have to do simple clipboard. Okay. Well, this is clearly not it, although it does look like a sweet deck. Probably this white, green, blue thing. No, that's not it either. Where did it go? It said it imported it. Oh, let's try again. It says deck successfully imported, right? From clipboard? Pretty sure it just said that. It's sorted by name. Sure. Oh, so it's imported deck, not draft deck. Okay, so it's going to be one of these imported decks. You're right. So let's try and figure that out. Probably this one with a Sika. Nope. I'll delete that one, though, so we don't look for it again. Somebody said 2 rows down. Yeah, probably not next to the other. Oh, right. It would be in one of these question mark ones because of the Doomblade. It's probably this latest one or somewhere over here. Yep, here it is. That makes sense. Okay, so there's the Doomblade of Crashing Arena. Here's the deck. the last second change was right. We found the 2 green sources, so we're on 3 forests, 3 plains, 1 island, 1 swamp. Everything looks good to me. Cool. Rename for clarity. All right, I'll name the deck Ugin. Creative name, I know. Feel free to compliment me on my creative name for the deck. All right, I think I play Infinite Breakfast round 1. Let me check the bracket. I do. So is this kind of like cannibalism? Because breakfast food is by far my favorite food. And my first round opponent is named Infinite Breakfast. Thanks, Goman. I appreciate that. You know, we've all got our strengths and weaknesses, but creative deck naming is, you know, that's one that I really pride myself on and I really strive to be the best at. Thank you, Hamani. Appreciate that subscription. I know I haven't been around a lot lately, but I still appreciate the subscription and the support. And thank you to those who do still choose to subscribe. Okay, so let me get my opponent here. Like I said, Infinite Breakfast, but now I gotta go find their info. Okay. Thanks, Radiantware. And it's got to keep getting thicker because, like, this is only around a month. I don't know I mean, I do actually know the exact date because I tweeted like day 8 and whatever, and that at that point that was exactly day 8. Obviously, I've lost track now, but I think I've had the beard for a little over a month or around a month. Definitely grows thick. I'm excited to see what it's gonna look like in like 3 months. Like, I'm gonna buzz it, so it's not gonna be like super long, but I'm not gonna like thin it out. I'm just gonna like take the buzzer and, you know, do a number 3 or whatever, and then let it grow. All right, limited tournament match, Infinite Breakfast. Let's go. Pantherol said wrong deck, so I'm going to cancel real quick. Might be right. I thought I chose the one I named Dugan, but maybe I didn't. Y'all distracted me with the compliments on the beard. Looks like you're right, because I don't know if I switch this. Oh, I shouldn't have named it with a U. That wasn't smart. Wait, it's not there either? Where is it? There it is. Why won't it let me choose it? Oh, because I'm not unlimited. Duh. Alright, try again. Full House Stark. Was there a famous beard from Full House? I watched that show a little when I was a kid. It's not like I still watch it or something. So, like, I don't remember it that well. Oh, well, I mean, same thing with House Stark. Was there, like, legendary beards or something? Like, I don't really remember that. Maybe Infinite Breakfast isn't ready yet. I mean, usually people are waiting on me because I'm so slow and I run my mouth so much, but maybe they're just not ready yet. I don't know. I'll try putting it in one more time. Sometimes after I like copy paste it, I like delete the spaces and things like that. And sometimes that works. You know, like after Control Ving it in, I'll just like go to the end. I mean, I don't claim to understand Arena or computers. Really, just magic. I did watch like the How Coding Works like explained from the Netflix Explain series. I like that series because they teach you everything in like such a scientific but like 10th grade science class kind of a way. Just learn how everything actually works. Like you kind of already knew, but you didn't really understand. The bearded one is back, Dylan B. Yeah, I've been really enjoying that series. I don't know. Like I said, most of what they break down you kind of already knew, but you didn't fully understand. Like you feel like after watching it, unless it's like your area of expertise, I feel like you gain like 2 understanding points or whatever. But like deep legitimate understanding points. Okay, so we're going to play or draw. We're definitely going to play. We have plenty of lands. Our deck is slow. We don't have removal or sweepers. This is like clearly a play first deck all the way. So no real decisions, right? Play the only land that might not come into play on tap later. Eidolon doesn't affect us at all, so cast that. We do need to play the Forest this turn, because if we draw a Forest next turn, we can cast a Sika. So it's pretty important we actually play Forest here turn 2. Hopefully we'll draw a Forest. Then our hand curves out really nicely. Oh, well, that works too. Probably just a more reliable Sika. Like, can't be Doombladed or whatever. Actual Hypnotic Spectre. That's a scary card. So I'm going to attack. I can't block that no matter what I do. And then my choices are cast what? Like Finale making 3 2/2s or Tatyova? I think I'm just going to cast Tatyova. I mean, if they kill it, I won't get a card out of it. But next turn, Finale will make 4 instead of 3. And if they don't kill Tatyova, I mean, it's the card that I want out for sure. Oh, I forgot I could cast the bridge. I'm not saying it was right or wrong, but I didn't even think about it. I forgot the lantern gave me the ability to catch the bridge. Hopefully they don't make me discard it here. Oh, they did. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards until you reveal a creature or planeswalker, then put the rest on the bottom. I probably should have cast that. I mean, my creatures aren't that incredible. I could hit Ugin. Yeah, I probably should have played the bridge. I just forgot I could cast that. I think I chose the second best of the 3 options. Okay, so we can Cavalier whatever, including the Hippie, which feels good. I don't really want to keep getting hit by that thing. I don't want to trade Tatyova for Gonti, so yeah, let's just Cavalier Hippie. Seems easy. I don't really care if they have a 3/3 ground creature, but I don't want to keep discarding. Yeah, no, obviously casting a Sika would have made no sense, but the bridge was my best option, I think. I mean, look, Tatyova was a pretty good play for the turn, but yeah, I think a Sika was the bridge was the right play. I completely missed that I could have cast it. Just completely and totally missed it. So once it dies, it gets back an enchantment or artifact. We don't have any of those. It's alright. They need to deal with Tatyova. We're drawing 2 cards a turn. Which is, I assume, they'll kill with this Cavalier of Night. Doomblade is non-black, so that's not helping us. I don't think 4 2/2s is winning us this game, so I think this is pretty easy to just play Shovel. Which is good, even though we can't Doomblade those creatures, presumably they'll have a non-black creature out sooner or later. Yeah, destroying non-black creature is kind of silly. The game-specific mechanics is way more interesting. I agree completely, Ixa. Like, you know, destroy a creature with no counters on it, or destroy a creature that costs 3 or less. Things like that are way more interesting than destroy non-black or destroy, you know, non-black, non-blue, or whatever. Okay, so what are we doing? This has Death Touch? No, Lifelink. If we trade with it, they get back Hippie. We don't want that. Feel like I mostly want to take. I could trade the Cavalier for the Gonti. It's not really a great trade. I guess I'm going to get to put a shovel counter on something, and then I can always trade later. So I think I'm going to take this one. It is kind of a weird attack. I agree. I mean, I guess I don't care if I lose the Cavalier, so I can just have it bounce with their Cavalier. I mean, they could, like, do 1 or 2 or 3 to everything now, I guess. But I guess if it's 3 to everything to kill Shovel, then they also kill Gonti. It doesn't really seem like that scary. Yeah, that's not that shocking. It was such a weird attack, as somebody pointed out. So that kills what? Non-dragons. There are no dragons, right, in play. They're going to get back their Hippie. I can't do anything about any of this. Life is not good. Hey, thanks for resubscribing, Sox Champs. Oh, I got back the Eidolon because an artifact died when the Cavalier died. I forgot about that. Life's still not good, but small glimmer of hope. Okay, so Cave, unfortunately, comes into play tapped. That can stop Hippie after this. So but I have to activate it. So I think this is a turn where I play the Finale. I mean, I'm not getting the 10. It's going to end up out of my hand, potentially. And then I don't care that much if they make me discard Eidolon or Doomblade. Neither of these are particularly effective right now. Hey, thanks, Leverathon. Appreciate the 26 months of support. Yeah, I'm not saying Doomblade and Barons and Eidolon have 0 value, but by, like, the Finale, if they make me discard, is really bad for me, right? Like, I just put 4 2/2s in play off 1 card. The Doomblade or the Eidolon is, like, whatever. Like, they're fine. If they make me discard either one of those, so be it. They played Hippie on turn 3, not on turn 1. Okay, so probably just send all my creatures at Oko. If I trade with the Judith or the Knight, I'm cool with that. And then if I play the Priest, can I still activate the Cave? No. What if I draw land? No, I'm still 1 short. So I probably don't even want to play Priest. I just want to keep Cave up for Hippie. So I think this is just send everything at Oko and then pass. It's not great. They can double ping a 3rd. I don't know what choice I really had here, though. Not attack Oko at all isn't really a good option. I could attack with exactly 1, but they're pinging me. That's weird. Figured they would have killed a 2/2 there. Okay, well, again, I want the Cave up to try and protect my hand, so I guess I can't play Priest, so we're chilling. But we'll see what they do, because if they, like, tap out for big ground creatures or whatever, I could potentially attack the Oko with Cave as well. I didn't do it last turn, because I would fall way too far behind, then they could just, like, take it and swing back with everything, including the Barons, and I'd pretty much be dead. But... Oh, yeah, it's our Oko off Gonti. Yeah, good point, whoever said that. Yeah, I could have attacked with Cave to kill Oko. The problem is then they don't block any of the 2/2s potentially, and they just attack me back for infinite. Remember, this is a Knight of the Ebon Legion. I mean, I guess the 2/2s are on tap, but I don't know. I did think about sending Cave. I just felt like it was better to have it back to block and to block Hippie and so on. I don't know what they're up to. Maybe they have a second sweeper? I hope not. Obviously, I don't care if they finish off this cave. Like, if they deal 2 damage to it or something, great. If they deal 2 to everything, we have a problem. Yeah, the magic scene's great in South Florida. We right across from my apartment at Time Twister, they're doing pretty good drafts. I stopped going right now just because of Dungeons and Dragons Limited. Like, I just don't want to spend my Friday nights doing that instead of playing poker. But as soon as the next set is out, I'll be pre-releasing there and trying to check out FNM drafts again. So can't like fizzle that by doomblading my own creature or something. So nothing really to do here. Okay, now we don't have Cave out. Let's first play Priest, see what we get, in case that affects our decisions. So that's for next turn. This thing is this an artifact or not? Can I Doomblade it? I don't even know the answer. A food token. This kills non-black, non-artifact. Right, non-black it is, but it's also, is it non-artifact is the question. Oh, it's just non-black. Sorry. Doomblade is just non-black, not non-artifact. I'm sorry, it's not terror. I'm old. You're right. Okay, so I can kill it, but I wouldn't have an attack on Oko. I'm not going to send the 2/2/2s to have 1/8 by Vargoth and put Oko to 1. So the only reason to kill it... Artifact doesn't matter. I'm crazy. Don't mind me. I'm old. But so... There's no real reason to Doomblade it now, aside from the fact that they can sack it for 3 life, which I really don't care about. So I think for now, we just chill, right? Because if I Doomblade the food token and then attack Oko with these 2/2/2s, they block 1 with Vargoth, and it just goes to 1. That's not very exciting. They can't sack it? Oh, it's not a food token, it's an elk. Durr. Which, that's the whole reason I was thinking it was an artifact, because I was thinking it was a token and not an elk. I'm dumb, don't mind me. This is just a 3/3 green creature. Forget everything I said in the past minute. Just wash it all from your brain. Everything I said in the past minute. Remember, though, this is Cube. Like, these are a million different cards, and I don't play these cubes. So, like, I've seen these cards and played with these cards and constructed over the years and stuff. But, like, you know, it's not like it's the current limited format or something. All right, let's see what's going on here, though. So what are we going to get? This doesn't put Planeswalkers in play, just creatures, right? I mean, I don't need any more lands in play, so obviously I'm going to cast it. But if I'm going to cast this for 7, I don't think I want to hold on to Doomblade indefinitely for better than a 3/3. I mean, they have 1 card in hand. 3/3 is about as good as we're going to do with that, I think. So, do we thin out first? Yes. We don't know the order of anything. Let's just get a basic out of our deck. Make our Turn Timber Symbiosis slightly better. It was presumably my Oko. Elish Norn looks good. A lot better than Lovestruck Beast, anyway. So, no decision there. And, sweet. Everything at Oko. Either kill Oko so then they can't kill Elish Norn with it, or they have to double chump block and Oko goes to 1. If they don't have an answer for this Elish Norn, life is good. If they Doomblade this Elish Norn or something, life is really bad. But if they don't have an answer for Elish Norn right now, life is pretty good. They got Conquer's Death off my library with their Sganti here. What do they have to get back? This is not as good. Cavalier of Night. This is yuck. The swings. These both have Death Touch. I don't want to let them activate Vargoth turn after turn. I don't really get any value from attacking them right now. Seems like a pretty clear double walk. Can I win this game? Yeah, I still have Ugin. In my 18-card library, I have 8 mana Ugin. That's a pretty good way to win if if I hit that. We used Finale, and we used Elish Norn, but we still have 8 mana Ugin, which could easily just win this game. If we just play it in -5 or whatever, then, or plus whatever, I mean, whatever we want to do with it. So play Archive and sack it. No reason to believe I'm going to be discarding on their turn, but I might play lands, might play a 2-mana card. Makes sense to do it now. All right. No real choice. Says, oh, I should have made sure I'm not dead on board before attacking. I don't think the Cave's going to deal 11 this turn, but it's not impossible. Well, if I would have played the bridge on turn 4, which is absolutely the right play, it's really just a very different game. Like, I fall substantially further behind, and then we don't know what I hit and don't hit. Remember, they were really threatening my life total at one point. So I'm not saying if I win or lose, it's just a very different game. I mean, how can you possibly predict? Because it depends so much on what I hit. Okay, I don't want to discard either of these. How big is the Knight? 4/4. Think the Mythos is better to hold than the Knight. Not sure on that. That was a pretty bad discard. Pretty bad for me, them having Kroxa here. Not necessarily discarding both, right? Maybe. They have to produce an additional red or black, no? Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, discarding both. I shouldn't have thought about it. You're right, as usual, chat. But yeah, that was a pretty big swing. But if we draw 8 mana Ugin, we're still in pretty good shape, I think. Most of the other cards are obviously not going to bail us out from here. So they're like a red-black grindy deck. Gonti is pretty annoying. They mostly beat me with my own cards. Yeah, we're dead here. Yeah, we could side out Doomblade. It doesn't really have targets. Crawling Barrens. Do we take out the whole Black Splash? It's Mythos and Doomblade. I mean, I don't know what we have on our board. Our last couple cards out weren't bad. They were just, like, not 2 mana. Do they have targets for Rex Sage and Gemrazor? That's kind of worth noting, I think. Where's their Exile stack? Because they exiled their whole graveyard for Kroxa. I don't want to call them playing too many artifacts and enchantments. No, they really didn't play artifacts and enchantments. That's unfortunate, because we have 2 really efficient artifact kill on our board in Gemrazor and Reclamation Sage. So this counters a creature spell. Were their best cards creatures? What were their power cards? Cavalier, Gonti, yeah, those are pretty good creatures. And they don't really have, well, they have some cheaper aggressive stuff. But yeah, they do have a lot of good creatures. Ojutu's Command seems pretty good against them. And Regrowth seems fine. Were their spells expensive? Add 1 to Crux. Nah, that hurts me more than them. Yeah, it just seems like probably we can bring in the Command. Maybe we can take and bring out, like, the Doomblade. I don't think we can take out the whole Black Splash. Mythos is still really good. Plus, we just have a bunch of free black-white lands anyway. We'll just take out the Doomblade, bring in the Ojutai's Command, I think. I wouldn't mind the Regrowth, too. This could definitely be grindy. I'm on the play. I don't really need the Eidolon of Obstruction. Maybe for game 3 on the draw, so I don't get run over. So everybody always asks the pro perspective on all this stuff, and of course, like, that makes sense. But how do all of you feel about OP and the changes and stuff? Like, you don't have to say what's gonna, like, I'm not looking for the answer in terms of, like, what the pros want to see. Like, how does it affect you? You know, like, do you feel, like, less interested in playing locally or about the same? I mean, you prefer if there was a pro tour, but you don't really care? Or is it kind of disheartening to see the way, like, Watsy's been handling it? Like, honestly, like, I'm more curious to, like, because, you know, like, I came up as a grinder, you know, like, I played in PTQs for a long time, traveled a lot for them, played a lot of Grand Prix, and so on. I'm curious to those who are more in, like, let's call it the semi-pro grinder type, you know, range, how they feel about OP. Because at this point, I'm kind of like, I care very much about it and its future with Magic, but it's not for me personally, you know? I'm interested in content streaming, coaching, teaching, and not super interested in like the competitive grind anymore myself. So we don't have any green. We have plenty of green sources, but this is also a two-lander. We probably just have to mull this. Okay, this looks considerably better. Probably put a land back like the Plains, and then we have 3 lands. Lantern. We can cast everything. We're 1 mana short of the Conqueror's Death. Seems like a no-brainer. Just turn 1, I'll go play Expanse for whatever, the same Plains I put back or whatever, doesn't matter. Maybe Island or Swamp in case the Lantern ends up dead. I guess Island in case the Lantern ends up dead. So, put the Plains back. And then we have blue, white, and green. And the Lantern gives us black, too. Let's see. Kind of nothing to work towards. Don't care about the MPL. Old man with a law career. I feel that. No law career. Yeah. So it seems like the general consensus of the people who respond in the chat is like, it's not a huge deal, but it's discouraging that there's nothing to work towards, and we're mostly old and play limited, and they weren't supporting limited for a long time anyway. Definitely can relate to all that. And I'm not that scared of Pack Rat. Pack Rat's an incredible card, but like if they go make a rat, make a rat, make a rat, that's just not that powerful of strategy in Cube. It's not like playing it turn 2 on the play in, you know, Return to Ravnica Limited or something. Like, it's a good enough card to be in your main in Cube, but it's not just like, you know, when they're on the draw, they play turn 2 rat, turn 3 make a rat, turn 4 make a rat. Like, I'm not that scared of that. Okay, so what are we doing here? We could Conquer's Death. We don't have anything to get back yet, though. We can leave up Ojatai's Command. Cheval doesn't work with Conquer's Death, right? No, it's when a permanent opponent controls dies, not gets exiled. I'm not really sure that I have much good to do right now. I mean, I can Conquer's Death the Crystalline Giant before it gets, you know, hexproof or out of control, but I don't have anything to get back. I could leave up Command, which will be pretty good if I counter something and draw a card, but they might just not even play anything since they have Pack Rat out. I could play Cheval, and then I'm committing to only use 2 mana. None of it's pretty good right now. I guess I just have to conquer Crystalline Giant. I have a pretty powerful hand with Elshnorn and Command, and I have a creature land out. I don't want to fall too far behind. Alright, well, at least now the mana works. Can play Cheval and leave Ojatai's Command up, so we have a decent turn that way. Ward has been a nice upgrade from Hexproof. Definitely credit there. I hope to never see Hexproof on a card again. And Ward is fine. Especially with the different wards, pay life, discard, pay mana. Like, Ward is interesting. Make it slightly more annoying to kill a creature is totally fine. It means the person who has it can't just dump everything onto their creature, but they can value like things like that a little bit higher. I like Ward. I'm anti-hexproof. I'm not pro-Ward, but I think Ward is totally fine. I think Ward is like hexproof done correctly, basically. So for now, we're just going to chill, clearly. Stalemate is fine for us. Ugin can clean up the Pack Rats as soon as we get 2 more mana, if we get it. If they don't play anything next turn, end of their turn, I'll probably go draw a card and gain 4, just to cycle this, now that I want to work towards land 7 and 8 so badly. It was a little different when I had just Elishnorn, because even though it's an incredible card, the Pack Rats were going to be 3/3s before I play it. Like, even if I played it this turn, they could just respond. And then they could just kill Elishnorn, right? But even if they have removal for Ugin, all the pack rats are still going to be gone. So, Ugin -0, get rid of their team, or sorry, -2, get rid of their team, is something we want to work towards a lot more aggressively than Elish Norn, because it's going to work. Elish Norn might win us the game, but it might also just 1-for-1 with a removal spell. So what I'm trying to say is, Ojutai's command, I'm now happy to cycle this in pursuit of lands, because I'm working towards Ugin, whereas if I was working towards only Elish Norn, I wouldn't want to cycle this, because there's no guarantees that Elish Norn's going to win us this game. It might just die. So now, do we want to play Oracle or Elish Norn? Did they have any ways to kill Elish Norn here with this kind of mana up? I don't really think so. They might kill it on their turn, though, and then attack for 16. But then I still have the Death Toucher to trade with one of their creatures. It's not like I'm looking to attack to get in 3 damage with Shovel. So I think that makes sense. Just plop out Elish Norn here. Yeah, they could Cavalier it or something, I know, but then they have to sack a rat to do it, and then they only have 3 rats, and then Shovel can block 1, so I don't really think we can do better than that. Plus, if we get the opportunity to trade Shovel off, that's good. We're going to end up Ugining it away anyway, which is obviously fine. I mean, Ugin for 2 wipes their board, but for the moment, basically, if they make an aggressive play to get an attack in this turn, and I get to slow them down by trading Shovel off, that might produce value for us. So, if I kill this rat, I'll trigger Shovel's ability, right? I think Shovel still sees it as the trade occurs. I'm not sure. We'll find out. Yep. Hey, 3 life and a card. Don't mind if I do. Sadly, still no land 8 for Ugin, but we can play Oracle and Priest and put some stuff out. As long as they don't make us discard the Ugin, I don't think we're going to die this turn. Cool. Oracle of Moldiah doing its thing. I mean, they still have a lot of cards in hand, but I mean, if they can't kill Ugin, they're not going to beat it. If they can kill it, it's going to wipe the board, and now we have a lot of mana, and we have 2 creature lands out to start attacking with, so I like our chances. I'm not saying we're definitely going to win, but if they don't accidentally kill us here, I like our chances. I'm going to double block, try and provoke, either them to discard now so I get more value off Ugin. I could, double chump to take a few less points, but there's no reason to believe I'm going to get burnt out from this position. It could happen, but I think it's worth not giving away that we have a sweeper and blocking in a way that gets them to add to the board as opposed to passing the turn. So, no real decisions. Those we have to -2, not -0, right? Tokens now that are copies have a casting cost of whatever they copied. So we have to -2, not -0. Like a generic token, like a soldier token, that's still a 0 because it's not a copy of anything. But a token like a Pack Rat copy is a copy of Pack Rat, so it's 2, I think. It was a recent-ish change, like maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago or something. And it hasn't worked like that forever, but I don't think it was super recent. Don't worry. I mean, listen, I'm in the Magic Hall of Fame, and I don't know how all the rules work. I mean, it's the most complex game ever, and that's a really good thing. And it means not, every pro, Hall of Fame pro, whatever, has some understanding of, what they're trying to do with the rules, with, layers and the changes and stuff. But it doesn't mean you know how they all work perfectly at all times, right? Nobody knows that. Okay, so probably need to kill that since it's a big flyer. My options are Ugin or Mythos. It is only, no, it's 4, so I could still Ugin -4 here at basically no cost to me. And then I can hold on to the Mythos for the next threat. Or I can Mythos it, Ugin them, and get further ahead. So that's a pretty close choice. Do I Mythos it, or do I Ugin for 4? If I'm going to Ugin for 4, I can attack for 1 first, because if they block, then I could just plus, so they can't block. But then I'm really not Gear Hulking this turn. Also, Lovestruck can't attack without a 1/1 out. So I think I like Mythos, Lovestruck. Oh, wait, no, I have Bridge. Maybe I want the more controlling route. Let's see, I have exactly 9 mana. Oh, yeah, so I can Ugin for 4 and play Bridge. I'm just going to do that. Because I'm not that concerned if they kill Ugin now that I'm putting Bridge out too, and they're not ahead on board. I guess I lose the 1/1 either way, but whatever. Seems pretty good. I mean, I don't expect to be sweeping the board with Ugin again. It should just be mostly plussing to deal 3 from here. Remember, they're on a little bit more of a clock than it looks. Like, if I have the board under control, I have 2 different creature lands that are 3/3s out I can pretty much start attacking with. I might be like a mana short of attacking with both or something. This one's 5 and this one's 6, and I have, what, 9? So I'm 2 mana short of attacking with both at the moment, plus Gear Hulk. So what am I doing now? I can kill a permanent and make a 3/3. I guess I don't really need Lantern anymore, right? I have a bunch of different kinds of mana out. And the Bridge cast. Seems fine to me. I guess I might use it. No, I'll just play Gear Hulk this turn. I don't need to activate the creature lands. Oh, they do have Crux of Fate. Maybe I'm better off activating the creature lands than playing Gear Hulk. So let's go Hedron Archive and activate the creature land, I think. I guess this one, so I can exile cards from their yard, because that actually does matter, given they have, What? Seriously? Come on, Auto Tapper. This hopefully will not cost me a game, but, like, what? It didn't think I wanted to activate my creature land there? Like, it thought I wanted to tap the land to pay for activating the land? I mean, they poisoned the cup did anyway. It didn't cost me. But I don't understand how the auto tapper can think if you're activating a creature land, you want to pay for that by tapping that creature land. How could it possibly be programmed to do that? Like, sometimes it is our fault, not the auto tapper's fault, but, like, there's no way that it shouldn't include the land you're activating dead last in paying for activating that land. Like, you never want to tap a creature land to activate itself. Because unless you know, like, I mean, you could create a corner case, like, you're activating it to sack to an edict effect, and you want to leave your other mana open to cast a different spell or something. But by and large, you want to attack with it, or block with it. So you don't want to tap it if you're activating it. You want to attack or block with it. Oh, I didn't have a black to activate it. No, it didn't, because I used it on Hedron. I see. So it was kind of the auto tapper, but it's not as stupid as I'm making it sound. That makes way more sense. That makes way more sense. Okay, I feel better. Okay, so what are we doing now? We'd like to kill both their creatures. Hippie is scary. Can I just kill them if I kill Hippie? Like, Gear Hulk's +4, but the Love Struck can't attack, and neither can the Warhound. So I have 4, 7, 11, 14 with the Ugin, threatening 3 if I don't use it till after combat, because if they chump with the Hippie, that's good too. But I can't activate the creature land and play Gear Hulk, so I'm not threatening lethal this turn. So then I think it's just kill the Hippie and attack. Get rid of the flyer. I don't really want to add extra creatures to the board because they have Crux of Fate in their deck. Ugh. Alright, that one's on me. I only had one white out. Last time, the auto tapper tapped my black, but that one was just on me. I'm silly. I didn't want to play any creatures anyway, but I would have sacked, like, Archive or something. That one is just make fun of me. After my rant last time was half valid. It was half not valid because it did auto tap my other black, like, unnecessarily, but earlier. So my rant was half wrong. That activation is just all on me. But it's fine. I really didn't want to play either creature because they have Crux of Fate, and I'm so far ahead on board. So, I mean, what I would have done there is probably just pass the turn with my mana up. Or I might have sacked Archive main phase to see what I get. But I wasn't like... It's not like I would have played Tatyova or Gearhulk. So do we want Lantern or Conquer's Death? Probably Conquer's Death. Even though it's not killing anything right now, it's going to bring back something good. And even making their spells cost 2 more seems good. All right, so now that we're through that, go ahead and play our stuff. I was like saving all of this because of Crux. I don't think they're going to have a second, and even if they do, we're just going to close with Ugin at this point. I did realize I didn't have double white yet. That's kind of irrelevant. Like, I'm going to have it soon. White's a main color, not a splash. I have like 7 white sources or something in my like 12 cards. Well, it wouldn't be Magic if we didn't go out by turning things into Elks, right? That does sound kind of nice, Red Eye Dreams. Alright, so, did we see artifacts and enchantments? Because we still have all that good artifact and enchantment kill. They have a Stone Coil Serpent. Well, they're both green, so we can hit that. Protection from multicolor doesn't help them. That's pretty much it, though. Why do they have so... Oh, they have a Crystalline Giant. Okay, so we did see 2 targets. 2 pretty good targets. They probably don't have many more, but 2 decent creatures that Gemrazor and Reclamation Sage can kill if we want. Yeah, I do kind of want to put in the 2-drop. They are still a mostly creature deck, right? So I don't want... Yeah, I can't bring in the one that's getting constructed here, Thalia, because, I mean, they might just play Pack Rat and activate it and play creatures. I have more expensive spells than they do. I could bring an Eidolon. I mean, they don't really have Planeswalkers either. It's just a 2-mana 2/1 first strike. How does it actually match up against their early game? Stops Judith. Doesn't stop Vargoth. Doesn't really stop Heartfire Malator. I mean, maybe I could block. Doesn't really stop Pack Rat. It stops White. It stops a couple of their cards. Yeah, we probably want this in on the draw. And maybe like Rexage. We saw 2 targets. So Rexage and Gemrazor look decent, but not like amazing. But we did see 2 decent creature targets to kill. So I'd kind of like to have those in. Did anything not match up well against them? Gearhulk on the draw, maybe? Their deck's like going to be pressuring us some. And we didn't even get that many little creatures. You can see taking this out on the draw against them. They have a sweeper and a lot of removal. I mean, the command is a lot better on the play than the draw because it's a counterspell. Could take it out, could leave it in. Yeah, I think the command on the splash is the next worst card. I think Lovestruck's still our early game. It's not fantastic in the matchup or in our deck, but it still lets us spend a mana on turn 1 or 2 while putting a tap land in play, and then also get a 5/5 to block with on turn 3. I know it's not fantastic in our deck, but it's pretty hard to run over Lovestruck Beast, and that's like still our primary concern, right? All right, so we'll have black on like turn 4 or 5, but not in the early game. I think 3 lands and Lantern is 4 and Simulacrum is 5. So I think we can plan on playing Balaged Recovery as a spell. Because we already have 1, 2, 3 hard lands, but then Lantern is a 4th land and Simulacrum's a 5th land. So I think for now, I'm just going to play lands. Obviously, I'm not going to play a land like Pathway before lands that don't have options, you know, like basics. And then I'll plan on holding the Balaged forever. Okay, so no real decisions here. I'm not going to play the Warhound. I'm on the draw, so assuming they play a land, I'll get to play it and get a land at some point. I'm probably not going to play it this turn either. Because I have 3 mana cards. Like, I probably want to go Knight this turn. And then maybe next turn I can play, like, Lantern in a Warhound. No, because I'd have to play a land first. Maybe I will just play Warhound. We'll see what they do. But I'm definitely not going to play it rather than strand the 2 mana. Because, I mean, it's going to search out a land. Even if, like, I mean, sooner or later, presumably. Unless they don't have any lands, in which case I probably win no matter what. Okay, well, they didn't play a land. So, that's a bit of a change. Unexpected. So I guess now it's just land and Lantern, right? Or no, if we're not going to get a land off Warhound, next turn we can go Lantern into Warhound. So this turn we might want to just play Knight of the Reliquary. I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Obviously, last turn was a no-brainer holding the Warhound, because if they play land 3, we get to get a free land out of it, and if they don't, then they're stuck on 2, and that's already pretty good for us. But now, what do? I could see pretty much any option at this point. Think I just play Lantern. It's the, like, more conservative, safer play, which I kind of like, because they're missing land drops. If I play Knight and they kill it, if I don't draw a land next turn, then I don't really have a great turn. Now I'm basically guaranteed to have a good turn next turn. I can just play Solemn, even if I don't draw a land. Hippie's pretty bad for us. Not much I can do about that at the moment. They're going to have a 3/3 zombie. Kind of want to play Warhound and Shovel. And then I can put the Hive in tapped. This is good because Warhound can block the zombie or the serpent. If they attack with both, I'll probably block the growing zombie. Looks like it's going to be a good game. I mean, Hippie is really scary for us. We got really lucky they missed that 1 land drop. I mean, this is going to be tough to beat Hippie if we don't draw an answer. If it came out 1 turn earlier, it would have been super scary. It's still pretty scary. I was feeling really good when they missed that land drop, because we obviously have enough lands to cast our hand, so the Warhound land wasn't important. But then when they cast Hippie, now I feel really bad, because Hippie's super scary for us. And I don't have a lot of answers. I have a few, but, I mean, as far as direct answers, I mean, Elspeth Conquers Death. I've got Elish Norn on 7, Ugin on 8. Like, Cavalier of Dawn is fine. I can give them a 3/3 Golem. Who cares? Same thing with Oko. Give them an Elk. But I really don't have good answers to Hippie. So, let's see, I can't block Hippie, so my choices are either Warhound on 3/3 Zombie, take 2 from Stonecoil, on tap with Shovel, or Shovel on Zombie, Warhound on Stonecoil, take 1, whatever, trade with both. I don't hate either trade. The question is, can I draw cards off Shovel? I think I just want to keep my life total as high as I can here. Hope I can draw out of this somehow. Draw out of the Hippie. Yeah, Mythos is an out. Like I said, I have a few. Not like none, not like a ton. I also don't have to kill it. Like, theoretically, I can get, like, Oracle and Knight going or something like that. This is going to be tough. Them drawing the 2 straight lands to be able to play Hippie and Naganti, and then they have all spells in hand. This is not looking good. Alright, so we don't know what they got yet. We can play Oracle. And then we don't have any blocks, but that still, like, draws cards and stuff in a way that basically nothing else does. Or we can Finale for 3. I don't think Finale for 3 is doing anything. I think there's a pretty clear Oracle. Sweet. Sweet. I mean, presumably it doesn't really matter what we name, but I see one black land in play, and it's a black creature land, so we should probably name that. As long as Lantern's out, it won't matter, but you never know. Lantern could die. I don't know. I don't think it's going to matter much. Hi, Ari. Yeah, I'm not happy they drew Hippie either. That's a pretty rough card for our green-white ramp deck. Ariel's complaining that they drew Hippie in 2 of the 3 games early. All right, let's see. So I guess there's no real reason not to put the lands in play. See what we get. Oh, that was cool at least. Maybe we can just finale with 12 mana and win the game. 3, 6, 8, 9. We're still a couple turns away from that. I do have the Cave of the Frost Dragon up to block the Hippie. So I kind of just want to chill. I don't have that much time. I kind of need to Rex Sage. I think I have to let the finale go. If I Rex Sage the invasion and play the Knight of the Reliquary, they get the finale, which is really sad. But then after that, I can leave the cave up to block the Hippie. I think that's pretty much has to happen. I mean, I guess I could try just holding Knight and finale for my 50-50, but that seems a little unrealistic. Knight's going to be a pretty solid card. I've got some lands. No, I don't have lands in the yard. That was last game. Well, we can start sacking them. Thin it out, find more creature lands. Also works really well with Oracle, since we can hack the top of our library when there's a non-land, giving us another shot to find a land. Oh yeah, good point, Saul. Also, our library is pretty small. There's a decent chance Turn Timber will hit Elish Norn. It's under 50, like we're going to have 21 cards still after we draw it. But then also, if the top card's a land, we can put it in play. If it's not a land, we can hack it to hack a land with the Knight, thin out by another land, then put the new top card in play if it's a land. So there's a decent chance we can get Elish Norn. It's not guaranteed by any means. Well, there goes some of that. But, I mean, it's still a pretty rough game because they have all spells because, you know, they missed a land drop before playing the 2 in a row. And, I mean, our back is to the wall for sure. We don't have an answer to Hippie at the moment. But we could hit Elish Norn, which would be pretty good. All right, well, Gonti does nothing when connecting, so I'm going to clearly block the 1/1. Basically, we could gain 1 life by chumping Gonti instead. And then we have no... well, we could leave Cave up, or we could play Turn Timber. So we actually do have options, and they're fairly close. This is not as instant, is it? How am I going to win this game leaving Cave up? I think the only way we're winning this game is Turn Timber and Elish Norn, right? If I leave the Dragonland up, I mean, they could always attack with Gonti, and then I go to 3. They could potentially attack with everything in the cave, have an answer for it. I think we pretty much have to find Elish Norn to have a shot to get back in this game, right? Yep. Let's go. Spin the wheel. I mean, Cavalier might be okay as well. But I don't think these two are going to get us back into it. But we'll put Tatyova out, obviously. I mean, the White Cavalier, we could have killed the Hippie, and then they have a 3/3 also. It's scary, but that could have been good enough. What went to the bottom? I don't even remember now. I guess they're not really getting back anything, like a 1/1 Stone Coil with the counter. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to win here. If I trade with Gonti, they can get it back, so I can't really do that. So I kind of just have to go to 1 and die to the Hippie if they have more, right? We're probably dead, but if I block the Gonti, they get it back with the Elspeth, Conquers Death next turn, and then they get to Gonti me again. And I mean, I can still block the Hippie with the 3/4 cave. No, I cannot, because I'm dead. Good games, good games. Infinite Breakfast. I could never defeat Infinite Breakfast. I rave about breakfast food all the time. It's my favorite meal. I don't know what I'm doing in Cube. Hopefully that was fun. I thought it was kind of fun and kind of interesting. So I like Cube when it's not high powered, which this didn't feel like it is. I need to play more Cube. I got a bad taste in my mouth for Cube early on, because early on every Cube was like drafting Storm and like, you know, power and whatever. But a lot of these like modern and historic and grindy Cubes are somewhat fun. So I definitely want to play more Cube. I mean, this Cube was like medium powered, but I mean, like some of the Cubes, like I said back in the day, I mean, not some, like most of them, people had power, actual power, or people had, the decks were just like Storm, and like you would draft decks that were practically constructed combo decks. But lately, whenever I've played the arena cubes, like the historic cubes, the modern cubes, they've been pretty fun. Anyways, I'm not gonna fire anything new, but I'll play out some games with this green-white deck and chat a little before I call it a night, since that was a quick round one exit and I haven't gotten to stream in so long. So let's see. I'm gonna play out the games with this green-white deck and do like a half ads in chats, half my normal stream. I'm not going to show a single ad, of course, but I'm saying like in the sense that like I'm mostly just going to hang out and chat and whatever. I apparently can't look at my deck anymore. This is an interesting development. So the deck box used to be right above the losses icon right here, but I don't see it. So I'm not sure if that's intentional or if Arena is in just going nuts, but hey, thanks, Wild Shadow. Appreciate the 24 months, 2 years of subscription. This isn't normal, right? Equations, you see what I'm saying, right? Like the deck box, because I want to show everybody this green-white deck. I've only played like one game with it. I'm going to play out this draft run, hang out, chat a little, talk about the games too, of course, but also just like chat about Magic and whatever. But I really don't know what I'm supposed to do at the moment as far as showing you the deck, because it won't do it, so whatever, we're going to get back into the game. This is not my fault. The deck box logo is normally right above the 3 losses thing, and I can click on it and show you my deck, but it's not there. Arena's a magical program. What can I say? I'm sure they'll have that fixed, like, very soon. Updates do need to happen. But we have just a little green-white. Looks like a good curve. I do have Untapped, so while I couldn't show you that... Oh, you know what I can do? I can just show you the screen, actually, really quickly, instead of just Arena. And then you'll be able to see my whole deck, I think, with Untapped. So, actually, I'm going to do this really quickly here. Let's do display capture. And then let me see if I click on... Yeah, there it is. You have to deal with my face now, but the webcam. Sorry, opponent. I'm trying to show 400 people what I'm working with. Please understand. Okay, so it's pretty small, but that's my deck. I got a Paladin class, a Ranger's Hawk, one of the You're Ambushed on the Roads, 2 Neverwinter Dryads, total 1 in hand. Steadfast Paladin, you hear something on the watch, Druid's class. So I have a really good curve. Tons of 2-drops, Underdark Basilisk, Trestle, whatever that thing's called, Moon Dancer. And then I've got some good 3s and a few 4s and 5s. So basically it's a green-white creature deck with a good curve, lots of good 2-drops. As far as life gain stuff, I've got like Trellasara and Celestial Unicorn. That's about it. Not a lot of white life gain synergy, but I've got those 2. And then I have Druid's class, a Paladin's class, a bunch of ways to gain life, etc., etc. Okay, I'm going to switch back to just Arena, have my webcam not floating in space, put it back over there. Cool. So I'm pretty sure we're going to sack here. Even though ramping out our Bora Pegasus is not very exciting, a 1-1 sitting in play is not very exciting in the early game here when they don't have any 1 toughness creatures out or anything. Inspiring Bard gain 3, Pegasus pump nothing, or Unicorn. I think we actually want to play Unicorn. So using as much mana as possible is by far the most important factor on the early turns. So you really want to bias towards playing a 4-drop over a 3-drop. That said, they played a 2-mana 1/3, and both of our 4-drops do damage. Like, this gains life growing the Unicorn, and then permanently, and then this pumps and gets things in the air. So I think, given we want this Unicorn out before we play the Priest and the Bard, potentially, and the Pegasus will help jump, like, the Priest for damage it wouldn't do otherwise, I think this is the correct order. So I think this time we'll just play the Bard and gain our 3. +2/+2 is not, until end of turn, is not nearly as good as 3 life and +1/+1 permanently. I'm not going to attack because I don't want to trade the Unicorn for the Basilisk, but next turn I will attack with the Bard, because if I trade that for the Basilisk, that clears the way for the Unicorn. So basically, it's not about whether Unicorn for Basilisk is a good or bad trade. It's more that, like, Unicorn for Basilisk is a worse trade than Bard for Basilisk, so I'll just have the Unicorn sit here and pressure their life total and the Basilisk with the Bard. So that's what we're going to do this turn. Since they didn't play anything that changes it, I think this turn is almost scripted. We can use all our mana, play our 5-drop. Also, when it comes to something like draw a card, you generally, look, impacting the board is going to be more important than getting a card sooner, but there is positive value in drawing a card sooner rather than later. Like, if it's a land, we may still end up playing it now a turn sooner and tapping it for mana and, like, double spelling or whatever. If it's a spell, it may be the trick or removal that gives us a better turn, or just a creature that comes into play a turn earlier because we drew it a turn earlier. So if it's a close play between using all your mana either way as far as impacting the board, just know that it's one of the more subtle things in Magic as far as heuristics that don't come up that often. But drawing a card sooner rather than later is something that, you know, has positive value if it's a relatively close scenario. Okay, that said, what are we doing? I could just containment their Basilisk at this point. I'm not really worried they'll play something big. I think I just Priest and containment here, and then I can just attack with everything, and they have, like, I guess they could double block the Bard semi-profitably, but, I mean, whatever. They're probably going to have, like, the deal 5 or something like that. But the Basilisk is no ordinary 2-drop, right? This is, like, their best creature in the late game also. I mean, they might play, like, a 7/6 or something. So I think at this point, we can go Priest, Containment, Shove, because it's not like we're using Containment on a 2-drop, so to speak. We're using Containment on a Death Toucher, and we have all these big ground creatures out, including the Direwolf Prowler, which is a 4/4 haste for next turn, plus a 4/4 Owlbear, a 3/3 Bard, a 5/4 Unicorn. So with all of these, like, ground creatures out, a Death Touch creature is basically trading with a 4/4 or 5/5. So by killing a Death Touch creature, we're removing something that trades with a 4/4 or 5/5. So I don't, you know, I wouldn't use Containment like this to get in some damage. I'm using Containment like this. Well, now I don't really have a reason to trade down with the 3/3, but so I'll send just the 4/4. But yeah, I'm using Containment like this because it's killing a Death Toucher and I have a bunch of big ground creatures. The reason I was going to send the Bard before was because, like, if they had some kind of a trick, they could only use it in one spot. So if they wanted to double block the Bard and then they had, like, a pump spell in hand, then they couldn't block one of my other attackers and use the pump spell. But now that I have only the Owlbear and they're tapped out, so they can't play a pump spell in combat, I'll just make the safe attack, let them double block later. Okay, so now, do they have a profitable double block on a 4/4? Yes, they can put a 3/3 and a 1/3 on it. Do they have a profitable, then it ends up trading for a 3/3, trading down by 1 power and toughness. Do they have a profitable double block on a 3/3? Yes, they can put a 2/1 and a 1/3 on it. So I don't have any great attacks. So I think what I want to do is just jump Owlbear here. And then I can plan to start hitting them for 2 a turn in the air. If I have a ground attack that only trades down like 1 power and toughness but gets in some damage, that speeds up the clock in the air, so I may do that. But we can make that decision after this turn. Let's say they put down some big ground creatures or just 2 more that clutter up the board. Why would I want to trade down on the ground, right? So we'll see what they do. Okay, so Druid's Class is going to give me a giant creature. That gives me incentives to trade down on the ground by a very small amount because it clears out creatures from either chump blocking or double blocking the giant Druid's Class creature. I can't get the creature this turn, but I can play Druid's Class and activate it and pump Direwolf Prowler this turn. So I'm pretty sure I just want a big attack now. Obviously, I can't send the 2/1 because they'll just eat it, but any other creature they want to kill involves like profitable double blocking. That said, they can put a 2/4 and a 2/1 and then trade the 2/4 for one of my 4/4s. They can put the 3/3 and the 1/3 on the other, and then I only get in 3 damage. So I'd be trading 2 4/4s for a 2/4 and a 3/3 to get in like 3 damage. Is that worth it? It's pretty close. It's probably not worth it. So I think what I'm going to do is just attack in the air, and then I'll try and just alpha on the ground whenever I Druid's Class. Or I'll send just the Giant Druids class if they don't have a good block on it. Like, if they have a profitable block, even relatively on an 8-8, let's say, like, you know, let's say they can triple block it and lose, like, 2 creatures, I'm going to send, like, all my big creatures so that they can't make that play. On the other hand, if all they're going to do is chump it, then I'll probably just send the flyer and the big creature and let them chump. So we'll have to evaluate what their blocks look like, or if their blocks on it are just too bad. All right, so we have 9, so it's going to be a 9-9. So what is their blocks on a 9-9? 1, 3, 6, 8. They literally don't even have 9 power out. Okay, so they don't have blocks on a 9-9 other than, like, chumping it. So I think we can just send the 9-9 and Pegasus. If they want Flump and Pegasus to bounce, we'll both draw a card. Who cares? If they want to chump the 9-9 with Flump, then they take 2 from the Pegasus. And I think we can hold off on the pretty bad ground attack. I mean, it does a few points of damage and it ties up blockers well, but it is multiple trades down. So while they don't have a block on board on the 9-9, I see no reason to make this ground alpha just to tie up blockers. Unicorn makes magical corn, Burnator. Because unicorns are magic horses, duh. Play a second land for the turn because we're cheaters. Cheaters or students of the Druids class. One or the other. So if they kill our Druids class, that doesn't shut off our land, does it? I don't think so, but we'll see. If they kill it. Oh, they could also kill the containment, and then they unlock their Basilic. Okay. I wasn't expecting them to gain 2 life. It could be correct to hold the land, but remember, we're gaining a life, and we're growing our planes. Like, if we draw land next turn, I guess we could play both thanks to the class, so I guess there's not... I guess you could hold it. But, I mean, if they kill the Druids class, then you might not be able to play 2 lands next turn, and you miss out on a life. I don't think it's, like, you know, a huge deal either way. So, let's see. They added a 1-3 to the board. I think we're getting to the point where I probably am basically alphing. I think this is more of a math is for blockers situation. I don't really want to figure it out. I'm just going to not send the 2-1. We're winning by, like, so much. If they have, like, a trick, this isn't going to go that poorly for us. Yeah, I can't call it an alpha strike because I didn't send the priest, unfortunately, but it's a beta strike. Everybody but one, but the priest. I mean, you see how, like, they're trying to line up double blocks? So, like, by sending everything, what you do is, like, we're pulling one blocker onto this planes now because they have to block the 11/11. So, like, I felt like, you know, a turn or two ago it was really close, which means after they chumped an additional turn and we keep adding things to the board, it probably opens up. I'm not sure that this is better than just sending Pegasus in the 11/11, because remember, we already had a free kill with the 11/11 attacking, but I also don't really care about trading down a 4/4 for a 3/3 now as this game progresses. I think it's an army term, but I'm not really sure where it originated, Daru. right, so obviously pump. 3-3 and 2-4 bouncing. If they play like a pump or something, whatever. Yeah. This attack was around what I thought it would be. So before tricks, we're already eating the 1-3 with the 11-11 no matter what we do. So the end result here is we trade a 4-4 for a 3-3, and we get in 4 damage because of it. So tricks aside, you know, we trade Direwolf Prowler for Bard, and Owlbear connects. So we basically sack a 4-4 to kill a 3-3 and deal 4. That's probably slightly favorable, not a huge deal. But I think thinking of it in value like that really helps you to find the right play. So, like, if it's not clear, aside from their phasing out their Dawnbringer Cleric and chumping with it, which was going to happen no matter what, I'm pointing out that basically, compared to that, like, we had 2 reasonable options, right? Send the 11-11 and it eats a Dawnbringer Cleric, or send basically everything, in which case, in addition to that, we lose a 4-4, kill a 3-3, and they take 4. So what we really did there was, when we're deciding between our options, we had the profitable baseline of sending the 11-11, and then by sending everything else too, in addition to that, we sacrifice a 4-4, kill a 3-3, and deal 4. So if you'd want to sack a 4-4 to kill a 3-3 and deal 4, then you attack with everything. If you don't like that exchange, then you don't attack with everything. You send just the planes. So hopefully that makes some sense as like a good way to evaluate which plays are profitable and your options and things like that. Okay, so they added a 3-2 to the board. We added a 7-6. Seems like, again, it's attack with everything except maybe the priest. I'm not figuring out the 40,000 block combinations to see if maybe I could send the priest profitably. I don't think it's possible. They're just going to eat it with something. The deck is scary, right? What does this thing do? Well, I guess we're about to find out. Draw 2. All right, that doesn't scare me. We're far enough ahead that draw 2 at this point is not concerning. Okay, rather trade with a 3-2 than a 1-3. I don't really even think there's a white sweeper in this format, is there? Like, I don't think there's anything we're really afraid of. Really don't think they can win, but I'm not sure. I mean, they have a lot of cards in this powerful deck of many things. But I think they're just dead. Okay, so what choices do we have? If I send everything, they're at 4 from the flyer. Does this interact with combat in any way? Return a card at random from graveyard to your hand. No, only if they roll a 20. Okay, so we'll just forget about that. So if I attack with everything, the flyers put them to 3. Then they have to block the 11-11, so they can't take the 3-3. So they have to put like a chump blocker in the 2-1 or the 2-4 on it. And then the 2-1 can trade with the priest. Okay, so attack with everything looks good because... Well, I guess I don't even have to send the Ranger's Hawk. I can do the same one with it via the Tomb of Annihilation post-combat, unless I get a better option. So what I'm going to do is send everything but the Ranger's Hawk here. I'll explain it more in a second. So they're effectively at 3 because the Borea Pegasus connects, and then the Ranger's Hawk can ping them for 1 via the Tomb of Annihilation if I wanted to. So if they're at 3, they have 3 blockers. They can't take either the Bard or the 11-11. So they have to put at least 1 blocker on both of those. So that means effectively, if they want to eat my 2-1 for free with their 2-4 or their 1-3, then they're like chumping elsewhere basically. So it's not necessarily, like, great, but it's, like, relatively free. Like, the most they could do is kill one. Well, no, actually, I miscounted that because the 1/3 could eat the 2/1. So they were actually able to break even on creatures instead of going down a creature. But it did deal them an extra point of damage. So I'm not sure if that was better than just sending the planes or not. I can't send the 3/3 if I don't send the other stuff with it, because then they could profitably double block it. But it might have been better to just send the 11/11 and the flyer. I'm not really sure. It was extremely close, I think. Does this card do anything? It just returns creatures when they hit a 20 or whatever. That's great. But other than that, I guess it draws cards. It's just like a late game card drawing engine. Thankfully, they're probably under too much pressure to catch up with that. Oh yeah, I mean the 20 is game winning potentially, but they can't roll a 20, right? And like if they'd have to go empty handed, and then even if they did, like it's 1 in 20, so. But also, it's not like you get the 20 when you have no cards in hand. It just becomes 1 in 20 then, right? So we're oh, well, that makes it easy. I was gonna say I might have to figure out whether it's worth sending the Neverwinter Dryad and the Bard, or whether I send only the Basilisk and like the Flyers and stuff. But obviously now we can just slam, because after every creature gets +1/+1, this attack is a no-brainer. They might not be dead. I mean, they can cast the spoils. They have the treasure here. So it's only 6 creatures attacking to 4 blockers and a removal, so they're not dead. But there's no way we can't send everything profitably at this point. I can even still sack the Dryad if I want to, and it's only really a 1/1. It's just a 2/2 until the end of this turn. Ari, we're playing a good game. You're so chatty. You can come up and hang. Meow. Meow. You can play this game. I don't really like this set that much, to be honest. Like I said, it's a large part of why I haven't been streaming much lately. All right, we have plenty of mana, so let's sack the Dryad rather than just throw it in the yard. I guess I should have just passed, because they're actually just dead on board until they play their spoils, but whatever. They're going to spoils away the Arborea Pegasus here either way. And then they go to 1. And then the Hawk doesn't kill them because I used the first level of the dungeon last time. But they can't pay 2 life, so they'll be discarding a card at least. Yeah, that's how I felt, Reckless Abandon. I thought this format was fun enough at first, but it got boring really fast. The game, the strategy just doesn't have that much depth. Like, kind of just feel like you're going through the motions, not really digging deep in your magic brain. Yeah, they would have been dead, maybe. Well, I got the ping, so would they be dead? I dealt them 1 and then 0 this turn. I would have dealt them... Or, sorry, I dealt them 2 this turn and 1 from the ping. So if I attack that turn and then hit them for 2, I guess I could still ping them, potentially, this turn for the final point, post-combat. So, yeah, they would be dead. Yeah, you're right. I still don't really think we can lose. I mean... Like, I really have no idea how they can win this game. Like, how it's even conceivable. Hey, we just went from gold to platinum. I don't know, is this cube on Arena? That was the only, like, draft of this cube I've done, like, whatsoever. I haven't been playing a ton lately, but when I play, I have been playing D&D Limited here still. So I think we want to sack it, right? So, like, I could play a 2-drop this turn, and then I get in more damage. But the sooner you ramp, the sooner you have access to more mana to spend. And next turn I can spend 4. Next turn I can go Druid's Class and Trelisara here. So the downside of this line is it costs me maybe, like, 2 damage. The Trelisara could be attacking, or 3 damage even, because the 1/1 would still be out. But the upside is I get to spend 4 mana this turn. I guess there's some value in having the Trelisora out before the Druid's Class. Nah, this is fine. Like, I didn't know I was going to draw a 1-mana spell. I still have lands to trigger it next turn, and if I'm drawing all spells, I'm going to win. If I'm drawing lands, I'm going to win. Like, this is probably the right sequencing. It's interesting, because, like, if I play Trelisara turn 2, like, I can turn 3, like, play this, get the counter on it immediately, attack for 4. So that feels pretty good. But I didn't ramp then. I have 1 less mana out, and I have an extra 1/1 sitting in play. So I'm not really sure either way. But if they're not doing anything, I'm not going to attack into the deal 5 to an attacker here. I see no need to do that. I'm just going to chill. Again, there's not really any white sweeper. And if they want to keep leaving their mana up, I can just make like a 6/6 next turn. If they tap their mana, then I can attack with Trelisara. So I think attacking into their open mana doesn't make a lot of sense here. So now, if I attack with a 6/6, if they want to kill that, they're going to lose the veteran and the card from their hand. You hear something on a watch. I could play the Bard, +2/+2, but that's not nearly as good as +1/+1 here. I think I'm just going to chill. Like, I don't know how they're going to catch up. Like, I'm gaining life, which puts counters on Trelisara. It gives me Scry. I probably should have attacked with the Hawk first, because I guess I'm going to attack with the Hawk, because if they want to deal 5 to that, who cares? I guess it's better than a random draw. Again, though, like, I mean, there's not really sweepers. Like, I don't know what they're going to do to get back in this game. Because, like, if they tap their mana, I can just attack with whatever I want. I guess they could have, like, the 4/3 Flying Haste Dragon or whatever. I mean, I have you hear something on the watch. But they don't know that, necessarily. If they want to keep leaving their mana up, though, next turn, I'll probably just Ranger's Hawk. Like, I attacked, because if they traded you hear something on a watch, if they have it for Ranger's Hawk, I would be ecstatic. But I didn't have 3 mana to spend. If they just keep leaving their mana up, I mean, I could always just, like, start hawking. Basically, I'm just getting further and further ahead. So, yeah, let's just do that. Definitely want to do one of the short dungeons. I don't really have that much explore. The question is Phandelver Tomb. Probably Phandelver in this situation. They still have 18 life, even though I'm on the aggressive. That's definitely good enough to draw. Remember, we're effectively killing 2 of their mana a turn. So, like, now that they've made a bunch of land drops and made a treasure, I'll probably attack soon into you hear something on a watch, and maybe they have it, maybe they don't. But we're developing really well, so we can play around it and just let them strand their mana while we just keep adding things to the board. Every land we play gains life and grows things. Every spell we play is a spell. I mean, we're just basically getting further and further ahead. So now we're on Phandelver number 2. Do we want a treasure or a 1/1 token? Neither is particularly exciting. I'd like a life. If I had a 6/6... Oh, a 6/6 can eat the 5/3. I'll make the 6/6 this turn and chill. And then we can send the 1/1, of course. The Ranger's Hawk. If at any time they want to kill that, I'm cool with that. But the Iron Golem has to attack. So if we make a 6/6, they have to attack into it. So this looks pretty good. I'm not saying nothing's going to happen. They probably have some tricks or whatever. But make them use them, right? Let's see what they have. And then I still have the Basilisk to just block the Junk Golem with. Or the Inspiring Bard. Right, it has to block, but like if I attack, they could just like double block or trade. Like that's not good for me. Whereas if they have to attack into my 6/6, now I eat the 5/3 for free, or they play the you hear something on a watch and get 2 for 1 and tap mana on their turn, or they use like something else. But there's not much that's going to make this go that profitably for them. Yes, definitely Burnator. Ironically, the largest factor in how much I've been streaming is how much I've enjoyed the draft formats. How busy I've been on some things definitely contributes. Like if I was bored and not really enjoying the format and just had a lot of spare time, I would probably stream. But I just even when I have the time, I'm like, do I really want to fire up D&D draft and talk about it and like, even just like experience it and share the experience? It's like I mostly play like while I'm like I said in line at the grocery store or like taking a break from poker. I haven't really done too much of like I feel like sitting on my computer and drafting for the next 8 hours. And like normally I do that a lot. It's just like these sets have been kind of boring to me. I hope the next set will be like, fun and interesting, more like Zendikar Rising. And listen, to be clear, everybody's been playing for different amounts of time, different levels of skill, thinking about different things during games. If you're enjoying these sets, don't take me saying I'm not enjoying these sets as like a knock on your enjoyment. I can say these sets are not that skill rewarding and I don't find them that deep and interesting, and other people can still find them fun. Like all things don't have to point in the same direction. So if you're enjoying these sets, that's great. Just me personally, I haven't found them to be that fun. These last two. Only the last two. Call Time was good, and Zendikar Rising was great. It's only been Strixhaven and Adventures that I've kind of been disappointed in. Alright, so they grew it to +1/+1, so we don't get the free kill. Pretty clearly, I'd rather trade the 1/2 Death Touch than the 6/6. Okay, so still have their deal 5 available, but if they want to kill a 6/6, they lose the spell, the treasure, and one of their 3/3s, so that's okay. I would probably attack with the planes this turn, except I think I just want to cast Hill Giant Herd Gorger. So I guess I'm just going to send the Ranger's Hawk and cast the Hill Giant Herd Gorger. That's going to give me the Trelisara and the planes and the Herd Gorger to attack with next turn, even if they leave up their deal 5. It leaves me 3 different creatures, actually, that have 6 power, 6 toughness now. So that looks pretty solid to me. So expect the alpha to actually come next turn. I know I've played very patiently this game, but it's because we've been developing so well. Like, for example, if I didn't have Hill Giant Herd Gorger to play, I might have attacked this turn with Trelisara and the plains and whatever. But if I have another 7/6 to add to the board, I'll just add that and wait a turn, right? And speaking of which, your wait is over. If we're going to be moving into the red zone this turn anyway, let's go ahead and put out our 4/4 haste, since any creature that's 4/4 or bigger can attack profitably. I'm going to hold back just the Bard. Nice to have a ground blocker to block the double strike creature if they like somehow survive this and go for that. And they could obviously eat it with a 6/4. I know that 6/4 is kind of tied up a million different ways, but we're assuming they have the deal 5 or +1/+1 to all their creatures. We're assuming they probably have something. Even if they don't, even if I played around it like that, quote unquote, for nothing, they can't win. Like, if they don't have the deal 5 or some other trick right now, like, I mean, they're going to 5, they're losing all 3 of their blocking creatures, like, the game's over. So I'm going to play still kind of conservatively because we're winning by so much. Not going to send the Bard in, because if they have, like, something like the deal 5, I don't want to create a scenario where they're able to, like, make more profitable blocks and get a free kill on a 3/3. I'll just take all these trades, and then now they have nothing out to even block a 3/3 next turn. Sorry, Fresh Phil, but I think it's time for a fresh game. Some consideration for +1/+1 to the team, but remember, the Direwolf Prowler only gets haste when I pump it. So if I'm doing +1/+1 instead of the Prowler, I'm missing out on attacking with an extra 4/4 haste to pump the other creatures. Seems like that's probably not going to be worth it. Definitely something like, on our mind, just unlikely to be worth it. Okay, so they're just dead unless they have something for 1 mana, right? Containment, attack, and you hear something on a watch. If I can still add in my old age, this is exactly 9. Thanks, Daru. Okay, looking good. So again, I'm going to play the Dryad first because ramping early just has value, especially with this Wandering Troubadour, because every turn that I get the Troubadour out earlier is an extra land, like triggering it an extra time, potentially. I didn't attack with the Dryad. They probably wouldn't block, but then they'd get to attack back since I'm not playing anything. And if they did block, I'd probably still just want to sack because I think a land is more valuable than killing their Innkeeper. I think Innkeeper's fine. Like, if you have life gain synergy, you should certainly play it. But I don't think it's that good a card. Like, at the end of the day, after the life and the treasure, like, it's a 1/1. Like, that's just what the card gives you. Definitely going to top that. So I'm not saying don't play Innkeeper. Like, if you have life gain synergy, if you could use that treasure because you have, like, a pretty varied curve and, like, a splash. Like, Innkeeper's a solid card in a green-white life gain deck. I'm just not high on it. It looks better than it is, in my opinion. I didn't see the debate today on Twitter, Socks. I mean, I've had people, like, try and cheat me. I don't know that it's, like, a fancy angle shoot. Like, one time I got really mad at the judges, even though they ruled in my favor, because the person was just lying to try and get the ruling in their favor. And all the judges did was rule, like, in my favor, but not, like, give the person, like, a match loss or a DQ or anything. And so I remember, like, that was probably the most unhappy I've been with a ruling. Let me see what I'm going to do this turn. I'm just going to gain 3. I'm on the defensive. I'm not going to be +2/+2ing anything. And then I can use all my mana, play this in the Hawk. So, like, what ended up happening was basically they played 2 lands in 1 turn without, like, any legal ability to do that. And they used all their mana, and it was valuable. But I genuinely think they played the 2 lands as an accident. It was, like, turn, like, 6 or 7. They had a bunch of stuff going on. It didn't seem likely to be game deciding what they got out of using the extra mana. It didn't seem like some kind of planned cheat. It seemed like they just, had a long, complex turn with a bunch of things going on and played the second land. The problem didn't come with them playing the second land. I would have expected, just like to tell the judge and then the judge, like, and them to agree and tell the truth and then get a warning, not a game loss. I wouldn't expect them to get a game loss or even want them to because if it's accidental. The problem when this happened was that they ended up lying to the judge. So I'm like, so the judge comes over, tell your side of the story. I'm like, okay, they played 2 lands, like, they did this on this turn and this on this turn. And then they're like, I definitely didn't do that on this turn. And I'm like, you did. That's why we know you played 2 lands or whatever. And they're like, no, I'm 100% sure I definitely didn't do that. And I'm like, okay, let's go through it turn by turn and we reconstruct the whole game. And then the judge is like, yeah, I mean, you clearly did that or whatever. So I'm going to rule you played a second land this turn and, you get a warning. And I'm like, okay, but they just, like, literally said 100% certainty I didn't do that. They literally, I made them, like, insistent and stuff because, like, this was my point at this point. I'm like, dude, I'm sure you did that. You're lying or whatever. And they're like, no, I'm sure I didn't do that and whatever. And I'm like, so basically, like, that was my most awkward, like, attempt that somebody had where I kind of caught them like trying to cheat or angle shoot. And I do believe this person unintentionally played the second land, but I think they're full-blown lying when they said they were sure they didn't do whatever I said they did the previous turn or whatever. I think they just didn't remember what they did the previous turn and then just lied to try and get the ruling in their favor, which is full-blown cheats. You should be banned and DQ'd at minimum, if not banned, because you shouldn't be trying to oversell to get a ruling. You should be trying to tell the truth to get the right ruling. So that got me kind of pissed, mostly at the judges, because like I was like, how is this person only still getting a warning or whatever? But I didn't see the conversation on Twitter today. Okay, so let's see. This creature's not really a 3/4. It's really a 4/5, unless I can remove Paladin's class. So this is a pretty even double block and trade. If they have anything, it's kind of a blowout, but I'm in bad shape, and these little creatures aren't doing much anyway. Do I want this trade? I don't really have any reason to have bodies sitting in play. I don't have anything that pumps the team. Yeah, this seems fine. So I guess this is just like an evenish trade at this point. So no real decisions here. We'll just play Owlbear. Oh yeah, also that wasn't a Pro Tour. If that was in like F&M, I would still have been mad, and I would still be like, you're sure of something, you're 100%, that's just ridiculous, you shouldn't phrase it like that, you should want to reconstruct the turns. I'd still have gone off a little bit, but this was in a Pro Tour, not in F&M or something like that. Okay, so let's see. They can Paladin's class. I'm not going to have a block on the one that has double strike, but I could kill both of their creatures. So if they go for that line, then I can just fry their board. All right, so this goes the other way, but they now aren't attacking, so I'm just going to have to kill the Black Dragon. And then I can, like, play one creature. Priest is a fine blocker on either of those if they don't go double strike. So this seems like pretty clear. Minimus Containment on the Black Dragon, attack, and then play the Priest. If they double block, I'm ecstatic. If they take it, the Priest is a good trade with either of their creatures. If they activate the Paladin's class, then I take that one hard hit from the double striker, but they spend their turn doing that, and then I can evaluate my options next turn. I have the ability to block and blink for a turn. I have spoils to kill whatever attacks and gets double strike for a turn. This is certainly manageable, despite the Paladin's class being extremely powerful. I didn't even consider putting it on the Paladin's class, to be honest. I mean, listen, it's the second best target, but I mean, the Black Dragon is basically like, could dominate this board. The Paladin's class is effectively not doing very much right now. Like, it doesn't give these creatures a profitable attack or block at the moment. I guess it's scarier if the game goes forever, but I've got a ton of pressure to put out and an instant speed removal. I think this will work out. Okay, so the only question is, do we attack with both or just the Owlbear? Seems like we want to play Celestial Unicorn and Spoils or Prowler this turn. Kind of want to play Spoils this turn. So certainly I could hit the Pegasus and just attack with both and play Unicorn. That looks pretty good. Getting further ahead. Yeah, the point is not to answer their cards. I mean, it's to win the game. Like, I feel like we're pretty far ahead. Like, if I lose this game, you can criticize my not killing the Paladin's class, but I feel like I'm not scared of the Paladin's class. Like, it's doing less than the Black Dragon. Like, if they activate and attack and give things double strike, like, I think I'm going to be able to block and race that. I think that's a game I win, I think. Yeah, I think this is just take out the flyer, attack with both. The trade is favorable for me. If they take it, that's also, like, good, I think. Well, you shifted your position there quickly, Possum. No, listen, I mean, Paladin's class are really powerful cards, so you should certainly be thinking about putting it on the Paladin class, especially when I already have spoils in hand. But what you're really trying to think about is not, how do I answer their best card? What you're trying to think about is, how do I win the game? So if the Paladin's class, like, activation is not scary to you, then all killing it is doing is shrinking these creatures. And them having a 4/4 flyer out is substantially scarier to me. Because remember, Guardian of Faith will fog a whole turn when I block the double striker. And then this, like, I know I drew it after, but I have just a bunch of chump blockers and creatures. Just feels like this is a game that's good for me. So I didn't give it haste there. I know I could have. Maybe I should have, but I want to block and sack with the Dryad. Although I guess I can't double spell next turn regardless, so that might have been wrong. Well, now I might just be dead, but I don't think you can put this on me. I wasn't expecting the Teresk here. And as you can see, I would have been fine against the Paladin class ability. It would have never beaten me. I would have blocked with Dryad this turn, with Guardian of Faith next turn. Oh, well, they fought the owlbear, so now I'm not dead anymore. I don't know if I can win or not, but all right, we'll see what happens now. If they would have fought one of the on-tap creatures, I think I was just dead, because I couldn't block the double striker and the Teresk here. Well, I don't have any choices. I have to block these two to not be dead. But yeah, now I'm probably going to lose. But I would have also probably lost to the Terescu. Remember, the other line of killing Paladin class and Black Dragon is the one that deals way less damage and makes it a low-pressure game. And then I just lose to this thing a million times X. Basically, I lost this game to Terescu, regardless of what line I took. Okay, so what can we do here? I'm not dead with 2 blockers. I am with 1. So I can't even block and phase out. I'm just dead, right? Like, I can gain 4. I guess First Strike plus Lifelink could keep me. I don't know. I guess I just have to see what my blocks are. I mean, hey, thanks for subscribing, Scruffles. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, with this game, we were going to lose to Teresk here either way. But, yeah, what is my option now? Oh, they're killing it, right. So I can phase it out, and then I have 1 blocker, so I can gain, like, 5 points of lifelink, so I'm at, like, 11. So I'm dead, no matter what. Yeah, I can target their creatures with Rally Maneuver, though. You just can't get, like, the +2/+0 and the lifelink out of the same creature. But, like, I can... It's not 2 creatures that you control. I think it's just any 2 creatures. So I could, like, +0/+2... Like... Or I could +2/+0 and First Strike one of their giant creatures, and then +0/+2 and lifelink mine. But yeah, I don't think there was any way we could have beaten the Teresk that game. Why are there cards like what? That have to target 2 different creatures? I think it's interesting. I mean, the card is very different if you're allowed to give +2/+2 First Strike and lifelink to the same creature. I'm not saying, like, you know, how it should have been designed or whatever, what's better, but there's reason to do that. Yeah, I'm not going to be drafting again tonight. I'm just finishing out this run, just getting some quality hangout time in. To be honest, it wasn't even about the draft run. I just kind of wanted to keep chatting with y'all because I've been streaming so little lately. I kind of missed my stream. Oh, I don't know anything about this. Oh, the Teresk? They love these expensive broken rares that can single-handedly win a game. I mean, I think they're bad for Magic. WotC thinks they're good for Magic. I don't know. I'm not going to defend it, but they think that the, like, you know, the little kid factor of single-handedly winning with a card or whatever is good. Obviously, since I don't agree, I'm not really going to defend it. I think that the concept that they're using is good there, but that they're making a bad choice based on it. So basically, like, if the better player wins every time, that game is bad, boring, or whatever, right? Like, then people don't want to play. They play against me. They just know they're going to lose, whatever. So it's good that weaker players can beat better players a substantial percentage of the time. The thing is, that happens naturally in Magic. Like, the very best players of all time at the local level were never winning more than like 80% of their matches. On the Pro Tour, they're not winning more than like 2/3 of their matches. And this is literally Hall of Famers and stuff. So like the game is naturally variant. You don't need to introduce variance to have weaker players win games sometimes. Oh yeah, I mean Tarascu is not one of the more broken rares. We're just talking about the idea of having like haymakers and stuff at the moment. If I were banning cards from limited, I mean Tarascu would not be towards the top of my list. I wouldn't be against it. I would prefer just a flatter power level all around. But like Tarascu is certainly not that egregious of a card. I was talking about the concept more in general there. Oh yeah, Starham Unleashed is one of the first cards I would ban from limited in recent history. Just the splashable, adjustable, goes wide, unbeatable Expel. That card pretty much fires on all cylinders for like a busted rare. It's like splashable, it's really hard to interact with, it's adjustable, so if you're flooded, it performs better. If you're screwed, then it still performs somewhat. It's basically as good as possible as far as a broken rare can be. Okay, so let's see. We can attack with both. We'll get our 2 life. If they want to trade the dog for the paladin, that's fine. And then play the Herd Gorger. This just seems like a very straightforward, easy turn. Look, we do have a command pronunciation for a reason, Birdator. My pronunciations are always correct. All right, let's see. I don't really want to Meniscus Containment any of those. I can't really... If I go to put it on the Blink Dog, if they phase it out in response, what the heck happens? Like, enchantments phase out with the thing that's on them, but if they phase it out in response, then the enchantment fizzles, right? I have to successfully land it on it. Haven't seen phasing in about 25 years. Teleport is phasing, basically. Yeah, so if I land it on it, I'm good. But if I don't land it on it, if they phase it out in response, I'm not good. So let's just pump and attack then. I mean, they don't have any good blocks. Like, I'm not really scared of whatever's going to happen. I'm assuming they'll pump their team or have a trick of some kind, but it's not going to be a big deal. They can deal 5 to the Owlbear, or they can, like, pump the Blink Dog to take out the Hill Giant Herd Gorger, but... seems fine. Yeah, I mean, they of course shouldn't have chumped the Trampler. They just missed it at Trample because there was a lot going on. I mean, don't get me wrong, this game wasn't particularly close. Really, the only close game we played was the one we lost. And, I mean, honestly, that was going to be a good game. Like, if they didn't have Tarascu, if instead they had, like, a removal spell or a haste creature, I think I was still in a pretty winning position. Like, I was feeling really good about choosing to race and taking the line I did until they played Tarascu, and I was like, oh, well, now I lose a game that looked like it was going incredibly well at all times. Like, I wasn't winning by a ton, but it was going basically according to plan. Like, I thought I'd be able to start blocking and phasing out and things like that, and, like, finish killing them over the next couple turns. And basically, nothing had changed that until Tarascu. And then I was just like, oh, well, now they're way far ahead. Oh, no, yeah, my plays, like, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, but my pronunciations are always correct. I'm actually the official pronunciation guide of Wizards. So, like, when you hear other people all pronouncing a card a certain way and it's different than the way I'm pronouncing it, the way they're pronouncing it might be more intuitive or something, but the way I'm pronouncing it is correct. My pronunciation is always right. It's just, I'm the official pronunciation guide. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4. How's this curve? You don't actually do this very often in Limited. Well, thank you, Sandgear Junkie. I appreciate that, even if you are a vampire. All right, let's see. So I can Troubadour. I don't really have any reason to use a removal spell this turn. I can always kill those creatures later. They're not particularly threatening right now. If they want to trade Prowler for Priest or Basilisk, that's fine. So we're definitely not using spoils. So I think this is a pretty easy turn to just play the land in Troubadour. We're one land away from playing Trelasara and Priest in a turn. We're not going to gain the life. We're not choosing Mad Mage here with no more lands in a high-pressure game. I think we'll just take Tomb of Annihilation since we're way out in front as far as aggression. Is that like a common kind of D&D monster or something like that? Okay, so we want Trelasara out before we Priest. Again, they don't really have good blocks, so this turn just looks like an easy Trelasara and Druids class. Any blocks they make, I'm cool with. The Innkeeper's gaining a life, plus will be a 2/2 sooner or later anyway. Just use all our mana and get our stuff out. The biggest, scariest monster in D&D? Didn't they have that in, like, what's it called? Stranger Things? Wasn't there, like, some kind of big monster they were afraid of when they're in their D&D game or something? I don't remember. It was a while ago now that I watched that series. Alright, so... Attack, play Unicorn. Attack, play Priest. I mean, I would play Priest to try and hit a land drop. Oh, yeah, it was the Demigorgon, not the Terraskew, yeah. So yeah, I want to play the Unicorn before the Priest so I don't miss the +1/+1 counter. Otherwise, I would normally play the Priest digging up the land. I would deal them 1 to take 2 back. I think we're far enough ahead for that. If I attack with the Basilisk, it might be dealing them 1 to take like 4 to 5 back. But then they don't have the Prowler to block the Unicorn. I think we're far enough ahead for that. I think they're going to have to stop attacking and block either this turn or next turn. Everybody's got these black dragons. It's alright, as long as they don't have the Terraskew. We can still go spoils here, get rid of the dragon, and keep attacking. Seems fine. Certainly we're not looking to do better with spoils than a 4/4 flyer. See, that's the thing about Paladin's class. It's more obvious than it was last time, but if you put them on the defensive or run them out of creatures, this card basically does nothing, right? Or does very little. Okay, so now this is not even on level 2 yet. What are our choices? We can play the Neverwinter Dryad and use the Ranger's class. We could play the Priest, and then if we draw land, we can use the Hawk. If we don't draw land, we can play the Neverwinter Dryad. I think I like that. It's not that imperative that we use the Hawk. So I think we want to try and find a land, but I don't think it's that important that we have to, like, play the Dryad or something and, like, force it. I'm just going to discard my Dryad. I don't really want to spend 3 mana on that. I know I have plenty of life, but remember, they can hit me for, like, 6 at a time or whatever. Which, look, is fine. I mean, they're dead on board if they don't have a blocker, and if they do, I'm not dead to the Pegasus next turn. Or, sorry, they're not dead yet. I can't put that up. But anyways, we'll attack and then play the Owlbear, and we're nowhere near dead to the Pegasus. So, looking good. If they cast Terraskew and, like, deal exactly lethal here, I might lose it. Just be aware. But if not, then we're looking pretty good. So we're still 1 mana short of this because it doesn't untap the land. So I guess this turn, if I can attack with everything, and if they have nothing, they're dead. Or I can send just the owlbear. Well, I guess they realized they were pretty dead either way. Yeah, maybe I should have leveled the class Burnator. I mean, using the Hawk dealt them 2 and advanced me towards the 4/4 Death Touch, which I was getting pretty close to. But I kind of forgot that the class didn't even go to level 2 yet. And so being able to threaten making a 6/6 next turn was probably more valuable. I think you're right, Burnator. I should have leveled the class. That was a mistake. If you want to hit the punt counter, I think... I kind of forgot that I couldn't just make the 6/6, that I had to go to level 2 first. Going to level 2 so that I could make a 6/6 next turn has more value than activating the Hawk, I think. Good catch, Burnator. You're right. Thanks. I actually grew the beard for the opposite of macho. I grew the beard because I couldn't take shaving. I mean, listen, Das Boy, to be clear, I use the best cards in the format. I'll switch colors for a mythic to win every game with my Dream Trawler or my Starheim Unleashed. Like, you play the cards that exist. You play in the format you're playing. I'm not hating on broken cards. I'm just saying from a design perspective, I think Magic's a better game if the power level's much flatter. So, I mean, your question is like, well, what if they have to pay 3 different colors of mana? You're right. If they have to pay 3 different colors of mana, you can make a card a little less good, or a little more good, I mean, than a card that you only have to pay 1 color of mana for, and that's balanced. But just as a whole, I would prefer a flatter power level. I think, generally speaking, you want diversity of effects, not really diversity of power level. Like, obviously, you have to get more for a 6-drop than a 3-drop. But I think, like, if all 6-drops were roughly the same overall power level and just had very different effects, Magic's a better game than if you have a wide variety of power levels among 6-drops. So that's just basically how I always feel about it. And then sometimes it's egregious, like, Dream Trawler not being mythic, that's a mistake. We can hound WotC, but, like, they're going to print their, whatever broken rares that are, not impossible to answer and stuff like that. There's stuff, but set after set, their mindset is rares should be more powerful than uncommons and commons and stuff, and I don't really agree with that. I think rares should be more unique and should be, like, maybe higher casting cost on average and stuff, but I don't think you should just get a better card for 2 mana because it's rare than a common for 2 mana. I actually think Garfield said something in his original intent or something. The rares would not be, like, dominate the game, that they would be, like, more unique type effects. Like cooler, more interesting, more warping, but not, like, just like inherently better. Like, and actually, I would completely support that. They should be cool and more unique since they show up less often. And then they shouldn't be, like, just dominate the game, invalidate multiple commons and uncommons, in my opinion. Okay, so this game I might just hit the Paladins class. We have a really slow defensive hand. We're in no position to race. So this game, since we can't race and they're going to be strictly on the aggressive, I'm going to hit the Paladins class because that card is really good if you have small creatures and you're out in front, right? It has a really aggressive final stage 3. And then pumping multiple small creatures and hitting me hard, like here, would be very problematic for me, given my hand does almost nothing for a very long time. I would say I definitely have interest in making them pay 3 for it first. The problem is I'm doing literally nothing with my 3 mana if I do that. Like, if I had a different 3-drop, even one that couldn't block if they activated the Paladins class, I'd probably play the other 3-drop, let them activate the Paladins class, take a bunch of damage, and then kill the Paladins class after they sunk 3 mana into it. The problem was, since I had absolutely nothing to play last turn, if I'm trying to make them spend 3, I'm also making myself spend 3. And, like, that might be fine, given I didn't have anything to play on turn 4, but I'm falling behind. I'm really hoping that I have something to play and use my mana on, and they'll probably just use their mana on something else anyway. So it's kind of like killing my own mana. I don't think we're dead. I mean, I think the game's looking bad, but I wouldn't say it's not winnable. I mean, we have a 7-6. That'll gain us a bunch of life. I definitely think I'm an underdog. I'm not, like, saying this game's looking great or something. That was a good question, Penguin. Thank you for asking. And the short answer is, like, the TLDR, which I think you got, but for everybody who was half listening, like, yes, it's good to make the opponent spend 3 mana at the cost of taking a few points of damage, but if you're going to strand 3 mana to do it, then there's way less profit there. Thanks, Home Tiz. The beard's fine. I've gotten the habit of rubbing my face a lot and stuff because it's just soft and kind of, like, interesting. But it doesn't itch anymore at all. Like, it doesn't bother me when I play long poker sessions. It doesn't bother me when I wear a mask. Just doesn't, like, it doesn't physically bother me at all anymore. It's basically the itching completely went away. All right, so chump or die. I prefer chump. Sadly, no land. First strike isn't really doing anything for us, but they can only really attack profitably with 1 creature, so I guess this turn is just Paladin's Class and Unicorn, or, like, activate Paladin's Class, but clearly I think Unicorn does more getting another body out. Plus it'll grow if we draw the land for the Hill Giant next turn. Probably going to chump with the Hawk here. I took that once a long time ago, Gregarious. I should redo it, like, because, I mean, knowing me, also, I might have been intoxicated at the time or something. Think I got, like, something like INTP, but I might be off by 1 or something. I probably should retake it. Okay, let's see. So now they have a 4/4, Death Touch, no Drain, and a 4/3, but those are really smaller creatures. I have to block 1. I don't have to block both, but if I don't block the second, I'm dead if I can't cast the Hill Giant. I think I just double chump, like, not double chump, obviously trade the Unicorn for the Crawler, but I think I block both. So if I draw land, I can play the Hill Giant, and then I don't want to have to block with it, because the next time I can block with it and give it first strike, potentially. Or I can attack with it and give it lifelink. This is rough. I really hate chumping, but I don't think I'm activating that Hawk, and I don't think I can go to exactly 2, because then I literally die to a Reaper attack before I can even block, if I don't gain life. Yeah, that was a really good attack from them. You are right, Coder. You know, everybody on streams is quick to point out opponents' mistakes. Okay, whatever. Like, I believe in calling everything as it happens. When they make mistakes, we'll call it a mistake. We won't, like, go off about it, but we'll call it a mistake. But it's pretty rare you see anybody call out a really nice attack. And it's so, like, obvious to attack with 1 creature, but they actually had a really good attack with exactly 2 creatures. If I had, like, 1 more point of life, their attack would have been bad, because I can just go to 3. But I can't really just go to 2. So with me at exactly, like, 6 or 8 or whatever it was, 6, like, that attack with the 2 4/4s was, like, perfect. That was a really nice attack by the opponent. All right, well, block or die. Again, I hate chump blocking, but I prefer it to death, so we're chumping. This feels like I'm just dead. Actually, I don't even have. There's nothing I can do to keep jumping. Like, I'm not falling further behind. I'm just literally dead. I don't know if that's a compliment, a description, an insult, Invictus Rage, but I guess the test is accurate then. All right. So the quest for 7 wins. I know we just got our second loss, so I think we're like 5-2, somewhere around there. This hand looks pretty good. Curve all the way out. Not as nice as that 1, 2, 3, 4 curve. So I'm going to play Trellisara over the Basilisk just because I don't want to miss a point of damage if it can attack next turn. Also, if they play a 2-2 or something, I'll probably activate Paladin's Class for mana efficiency. I don't have a 4-4 in my hand, so like I'd rather spend 3 than 2 on turn 3. And if it gets the Trellisar in profitably, I don't really want to trade it off, given it's a pretty powerful creature and I have a lot of ways to gain life in this deck. Now, if they leave their mana up, I'll probably just play Basilisk and not attack, like I did that other time. I'm pretty big on playing around commons if you can really reduce their value. And it's not like they can play it end of turn for a little less value. We either strand 2 mana or let them use their 2 mana, depending on whether we attack until you hear something on the watch or not. I know they may not have it, but then all the cost is missing 2 damage. I'm not like some kind of all-in aggro deck. It's really not a huge deal. So here I'm attacking with both. So they might or might not block, but it's actually not about bluffing in the 2 damage with Trellisara. It's that I want them to attack with the Dawnbringer Cleric so that I can just ambush it for free with the Guardians of Faith. So that's the real reason I made this Trellisara attack. If they didn't have Arborea Pegasus, I think they would likely attack back with the Cleric since it doesn't really have a good block, and then I would have gotten a free kill on it. I know they gave it flying and +1/+1, so now I can't do that, but I'm still going to put out the 3/2 since it has a profitable attack immediately. One thing I do want to give Wizards credit for, I like how for years, Limited really revolved around the 2 to 4 drops, and then they started making the 1 and 5 drops and 6 drops noticeably better. Not like, I don't like creatures being pushed in power level, but if you're going to push the 2 to 4 drops anyway, and then Limited is going to revolve around 2 to 4 drops, a wider curve is much more interesting. And over the past couple sets, it seems like they're making a really big effort to make the 1s, 5s, and 6s better, so that now you have, like, sometimes the best green common is a 5-drop, Owlbear, or, you know, like, sometimes, or, like, you play your 1-drops, right? You have multiple playable 1-drops in a lot of the past couple formats. Secret Door, Neverwinter Dryad. You know, they're finding ways to make Limited more interesting, because they're making it so you have to consider more on your curve. So I do want to give them credit for that. I really like that they've made the 5s, 6s, and 1s better recently. I think that's a good addition to Magic. All right, I'm going to attack with everything that can profitably attack. I mean, 4-4-4-4-3 is trading down 1 toughness, and that's to get in, like, 4 additional damage compared to sending neither 4-4. So obviously I'm willing to trade, like, one of my 4-4s for the Sellsword to deal 4. The Basilisk has a profitable attack either way. Not good was the mana tapping, partially my fault. I mean, completely my fault because I didn't play the land first, so it has to tap that way. So I punted that, not the auto tapper. Okay, so now I'm going to attack with the 4-4 and the 1-2. At this stage in the game, I'm not really interested in stranding there. You hear something on a watch like I am on turn 2. The reason is they're just going to play it next turn anyway. At this point, they have near unlimited mana to use whenever they want, so there's way less value in stranding mana than there is on turn 2, 3, or 4. Out of all 4 sets this year, what was that? Strixhaven, this set, Kaldheim, and Zendikar Rising were the past 4. If that's the case, just easy Zendikar Rising. Zendikar Rising's one I like a lot, and the rest of these is not. Well, that's bad. I thought this game was looking good. They just wrathed our board. This card is a total S tier broken rare. What makes a good limited set? I think, like, diversity of the gameplay, skill rewarding in-game decisions. The card values change based on, like, what else you put around them. They're not just worth the same in every deck. Basically, the same things that make Magic good, in my opinion. It's dynamic and skill rewarding. Like, doing the same thing to a predetermined outcome is boring, like, in my opinion. Then it feels like you're just going through the motions, basically. Whereas, you know, when the card values are changing and you have to find counterintuitive lines, or card that you would first pick for one deck, you don't even want to play in another deck. But it's not just like being sorted into an archetype. It's like the cards change based on, you know, in subtle ways, not like overt ways. That's generally the main thing I look for. All right, we're dead, obviously. This game was good. I mean, we can't do anything about some of these losses to rares. Like, we lost to Meteor Storm and to Terrask and, like, whatever. Some card. I think the other game was actually pretty good. The opponent made that nice attack with the Reaper's Talisman, and it was a close game. But Meteor Storm just killed all my creatures, so that was kind of silly. Well, we got a 5 and 3. I was hoping to get 7. I thought this deck was pretty good. I can't show you the box because it won't let me, so I can't show you my deck because it's physically impossible. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. I know I haven't been streaming a lot lately. Like I said, I'm not planning to go anywhere. We'll see what the next set is like. We'll see what the Sweatsuit's like next week. I definitely could see myself streaming again more in the future, but I'm not making any specific commitments. But I'm not streaming less because I took a job at WotC and I can't stream, or I'm not streaming less because I have, like, a new full-time regimen. My schedule should get much lighter in a few months, and we'll see what the next set is like. So thanks to everybody who tunes in. Obviously, we're in a good time for Magic where there's so many great content producers, you know, so many great streams, so much great content out there. So, you know, with me not streaming, I'm sure you're all right. You can watch Desi, Boxy, Kyle Rose, The Ham TV, LSV, Newmont. So many great limited streams out there. Before I call it a night, I'm not going to show any ads, obviously. Ads in chats feels appropriate when I'm doing 2 or 3 nice streams a week as a way to make some money, because streaming really doesn't make very much. But for now, I'm just, like I said, I kind of felt like hanging out. I didn't do the Sweatsuit last week, so I haven't streamed for 2 weeks. So I honestly just kind of missed y'all. I'm not going to lie. But before I take off for the night, any questions? Like I said, I'm not going to do a long ads and chats type thing, and I'm not going to show any ads. But if you have any questions or whatever while I'm here. What is my title at WotC? I don't know. They should just literally, like, hire me to lead designing the formats for Limited or something, probably. But, I mean, I'm not, like, in talks with WotC to work for them or anything. I'm not, like, against it or something. Like, if there was the right opportunity at the right time, I would definitely take a job for WotC, but with WotC. But that it's neither the right opportunity nor the right time, nor have they shown any interest in years. Instead of trading the 4-3 for the Owlbear, what if they traded with the 2-2 of the Mana Sink? Well, I mean, they're basically... So I already pumped this turn. So the question is it just always a 4-4, or am I going to have better uses for that mana? At this point in the game, I don't think they... I think that they could basically view it as a 4-4, is what I would say to that. Did I miss out on the free Premier drafts? Maybe. I don't even know what that is, so probably. What are the free Premier drafts, Huraken? I mean, I played a little bit of the win some tokens thing. And I mean, I think I did okay in it, but I didn't, like, make a ton of free drafts or anything. Do I have any unique card or mechanic ideas for a limited set? Not off the top of my head, no. So I'm useless after all. Oh, I just didn't even know that, Plague Bearer. I probably caught at least one of each of those. I did catch at least one Amaket and Ikoria draft. So if you just didn't get charged for the first one, I got one free Amaket and Ikoria. I don't think I did a Kaladesh. So I think I missed the whole week of Kaladesh because I didn't really like Kaladesh. So normally when they throw on the throwback formats, just for like nostalgia's sake, I'll play it even if it wasn't great. And like I didn't think like Amaket or Ikoria were great, but I kind of felt like the one or whatever. But I don't even think I like felt like the Kaladesh. Cycling is my favorite mechanic of all time by a lot. I just think it's a really interesting mechanic. And I think it lets you design the cards in a way that makes the games a lot better. So like if you make like a 6 mana 6/6 cycling 2, you now create a scenario where people can like put less lands in their deck or more lands in their deck. And then if they, the biggest problem with having a lot of 6 drops is sometimes you don't curve all the way up to 6. But in this case, you can just cycle, right? And the reason you can't play 6 drops in your aggro decks is because you can't play 17 or 18 lands. You have to play 15 or 16 or you lose too many games to flood. But if your 6 drop has like cycling 1 or 2, you can put it in your aggro deck. So I think cycling does a lot for mitigating flood and screw and just being a skill-oriented, decision-oriented mechanic. I did hear they managed to achieve draft opens. That was the one positive, I would say, from their announcement. Not that everything was horrible. Like I said, I don't really care much about the IP stuff. Like, I'm not for it. I'm not against it. It's just basically irrelevant to me. But that was the one thing that I was happy about that they announced. But I mean, still, like, I'd like to see more of them. I mean, I don't like to sound like we're complaining about everything. I try and praise them for the things that I think are good. But, like, why not have more arena limited opens? Like, people love them. Everybody played in them. It's practically like a Magic holiday. It's like an online limited Grand Prix. I know that you can't do that, like, constantly. Like, you can't just have an open queue for that every day or something, because there's no way that the community can, like, withstand that. But, like, once a month or something seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, I don't know. If it were me, I would certainly have, like, a limited arena open, like, once a month on Arena. But I am excited that draft is coming. Oh yeah, I mean, I wasn't implying that like WotC wouldn't hire me or something. I'm not looking for a job like by any stretch. Like I said, right opportunity at the right time. I mean, there's nothing I love more in the world than Magic. Like, literally nothing. But I'm in no way, shape, or form looking for a job. Do I think Forgotten Realms was a success? That's a good question. Well, so a success by what metrics? Like maximizing the long-term growth and sales of Magic, like total Magic EV over the long run in sales? Or like maximizing the fun Magic players have playing Magic? Or like, maximizing or like how much I like a draft format? Like, was it successful as far as a core set draft format or something? Like, got to give me a little bit more specific than do I think Forgotten Realms was a success? Success to who, in what way? The cycling in I like cycling in a vacuum. The cycling and get a little ability when you cycle it was cool too. I thought that was a nice take on cycling they did. Set playability. So, I mean, they were going for a core set, I think, which they got. Pretty bland. It is a good set, I think, to teach people Magic because the cards are pretty straightforward, but they still have, like, base keyword abilities, and then the mechanics are, like, different, but they're not complex. Like, attack, venture in a dungeon means pick one of these 3 paths and then move up a step. Like, that's just following basic instructions, right? And like roll a die and see what you get, 1 through 10 or 10 through 20 or whatever, is again following basic instructions. So I think it's a pretty good set for teaching people. I think you can play any of the 5 colors. It revolves around combat. I think they probably got what they were going for. I just don't think it's a very deep or skillful or interesting limited set. So it hit what I'm looking for about as little as possible, but it hit what they're looking for probably pretty well if I had to guess. And listen, it's the summer core set. It's fine. Whatever. Strixhaven, I don't think they intended to be simple at all. I think Strixhaven was meant to be a super advanced set. and they just messed up Learn, frankly. They messed up Lorehold and Learn. I think if they had done Learn better, the same mechanic, if they had just done a better job with on execution, and I think if Lorehold was just balanced and perfectly playable, Strixhaven could have been an awesome limited format. You know, like, it could have ended up being a format where you have the 5 guilds, and then you have like environmental sciences on lesson, and you have like the campuses and that to try and tie together 2 guilds to make 3 color decks and 4 color decks. But the thing is, the colored lessons weren't worth splashing or going to third colors for. There were so many colored lessons to fill up your lesson spot anyway, and how many times per game are you going to learn? Like, I think that lesson was a very good idea and a very poor implementation. And I think they did a good job with making the 4 of the 5 guilds or schools or whatever you want to call it playable and balanced enough, but they missed on Lorehold. And like, no one's going to get everything right. Like, if I literally could clone, like, I don't want to say clone myself, not because I'm like the greatest, but just because like then you have 10 of the same minds working, so it's a different problem. But if you took like the top 20 Magic players of all time, whoever you think those are in understanding, locked them in a room and said design like a limited set, you're still going to end up with 1 color combination out of 10 sometimes that's just unplayable, maybe 2 that are substantially weaker than the other 8. But when you make a guild format, now you only have 5 color pairs to begin with. So it's a lot more punishing if you punt one of the guilds. So like, if you look at some of the worst formats from recent times, Guilds of Ravnica, they basically punted the color green, so we had a 3 guild format. Strixhaven, they punted Lorehold, so we had a 4 guild format. So like, you know, formats become unbalanced and repetitive and unfun pretty quickly when you only have 3 or 4 decks you can draft. If it's not a guild format and you can play any of the 2 color combinations, then you can mess up 2 color combinations and you still have 8 of 10 to draft from. So I'm not like against a guild format done well, but like, it's a lot more punishing if you mess up a color or a guild. My favorite set of all time is Dominaria. I love that draft format Champions, like back in the day, Dominaria recently. So I guess I don't know if I like Champions or Dominaria better as far as like now, because I think it's partially nostalgia and partially I've just loved Champions for 15 years. Dominaria in recent times, Champion all time. Which one? If I only had to draft one like next week, would I draft Dominaria or Champions? Champions, but that's also because I've played it so much less. I don't know. It's between Champions and Dominaria. They're my 1 and 2 now. Call Time was a fine limited set, but there were some problems. I think that like basically Packmate and Lindworm were too warping that you couldn't play like mid-range because those just go right over the top of them too much. So you had to be really aggressive or really controlling. But I like the mechanics in Call Time. I like Snow. I think that they basically did a fine job with it. I just think that basically Packmate was too good. I think that Packmate was like... I think it was such a good common that it was like warping, and I don't think people like necessarily realize. I mean, I could be wrong on this. This is deduction, not like something that I figured out in the game. But I just think basically how good the green commons were against like mid-size aggressive creatures made it so that you couldn't draft like normal levels of aggression. You basically had to play all in aggro or like try and go over the top of the other control decks. So that's why I didn't love Call Time, because it became, to me, this control versus aggro, like, you know, draft the fastest aggro you can or draft the most powerful control you can. And, like, there wasn't a lot of room for mid-range because I feel like Packmate and Lindworm and Behold the Multiverse and some of the other cards just really oppressed, like, mid-range and aggression. It's weird. I know that sounds weird when I say it like that, but the thing is... cards like Packmate and Lindworm, they really oppress like 3-drops and 2/2s and like that kind of aggression. But obviously like a hyper aggressive Boros like from that format with like 1/1 flyers and equipment and unblockable and all this like ping when they block and all that kind of stuff. Then you're so fast that like the card advantage from Packmate doesn't matter because you're ending the game before they can empty their hand. Or like Lindworm is a 6-drop, so by then you're hopefully far enough ahead. Whereas like if you just have a normal level of aggression, like the deck I just had where you play like 2 drops and 3 drops and 4 drops and you're attacking, Packmate trades, they go up another card, they keep making their drops, they trade, they play the Lindworm, they gain 4, they win the game or whatever. Whereas if you have like hyper aggro, then the card from Packmate doesn't really come into play, the 6-drop is too slow, etc., etc. I don't think I explained that really well, but remember, this isn't like a prepared content. This is literally me getting asked a question I wasn't expecting to get asked. I was playing during Rise of Eldrazi. I did like Rise of Eldrazi, but I also think it's a little overhyped. It was pretty linear. You drafted like ramp or like leveling or like... I mean, there were some cool like type Grixis control decks I drafted from time to time. But like, and it did play long, interesting games, and we saw some like sweet mechanics, and I think the removal was pretty decent, and the ramp was good and interesting. So I mean, I liked Rise of Eldrazi, but I don't have it as like an all-time great. Yeah, I mean, Lindworm in Ikoria and Lindworm in Call Time are just not even remotely the same card, even though they're literally the same card, Honey Mammoth and Ravenous Lindworm. Because I mean, Ikoria was a format about making like big things at haste speed with a mutate and like getting mutate effects and stuff. And like a 6-mana 6/6 just doesn't interact with that well at all. It's just like a slow version of mutating onto something. Whereas in Call Time, green was the control color of the format, and so Lindworm just shut down all opposing aggression, and that's what you want if you're the control color. So it's just a very different format. I mean, you're right. Like Honey Mammoth was barely unplayable in Ikoria, and Lindworm was very good as far as like its stats and text and what you'd expect in Call Time. But I think we understand why pretty well. It's just the mechanics mostly drive the format. Mutate made Honey Mammoth a pretty bad card because people are just creating like 4/4 menaces that it can't block, or 6/6 hastes or whatever, and you're just playing a 6/6 that's stuck in your hand unless you drew 6 mana. And then on the other side of the equation, you have green. That's green in Ikoria. You have green in Call Time, where green is just this ultimate late game control color, and Lindworm is exactly what that deck wants. I'm looking forward to the return of Kamigawa because the part of why Kamigawa is my favorite limited format and it's so great is the mechanics were really good, and they may use Soul Shift and Splice again. They're both pretty cool mechanics, and I would love to get to play with Splice or Soul Shift again. Obviously, I don't really care about Bushido. Bushido's like not a particularly good mechanic. It's not like egregious. It's just whatever, an aggressive mechanic, which is generally bad, and like it wasn't on that many cards and it wasn't that important. But like Soul Shift and Splice were like awesome mechanics, so I would love to see those come back again. As far as the themes, I really don't care. I mean, I think Japanese culture themes and stuff are pretty cool, but like I really just don't care. Like I don't care if it's themed after ancient Japan or, you know, Lord of the Rings or Fortnite. It really makes like no difference to me. I really listen, I'm not against that, like liking things like that, and it's cool, and I've got my things, you know, that maybe appeal to me. But Magic to me is so much a strategy game that like that's just all I process. You know what I mean? Like I might be able to appreciate if I walk in somewhere and it's Game of Thrones themed. Like if I walk into a cafe to get dinner and they have a cool Game of Thrones theme, I might appreciate it before I eat dinner. You know what I mean? But when I'm playing Magic, all my brain is caring about is like how good of a strategy game it is, how balanced the draft format is, how interesting the games are going to be. I honestly don't even like see things like the theme. It just doesn't even hit me. But so yeah, I'm excited to go back to Champions because we might get Splice and Soul Shift, which are sweet mechanics. The problem is it didn't actually work like that. Max is close enough. You mutated, giving flying or menace, or just being as big or bigger than a 6/6 when you stack things and triggered the abilities and stuff. That's why it didn't work like that. They needed to make it bigger, frankly. It needed to be like just for that format in particular. What's with all the baked lays obsession today? That's 2 or 3 different people commenting about baked lays. I mean, listen, baked lays are delicious. I mean, if you want salty potatoes without too much fat, there's nothing better than baked lays. Mirrodin could be considered the best of all time, but only by one metric. It's the first limited set that I top 8'd a Pro Tour in. I top 8'd the draft Pro Tour in Mirrodin block. I'm not playing anything else today, Hurricane. I did the Sweatsuit, lost round 1. It was kind of interesting doing that cube. And then we played out the whole run. I was like 1-0 or something of a draft. Anyways, thanks for the good chats as always. Y'all are always appreciated. I hope the stream was fun. I know I haven't been doing a lot lately, but like I said, it's free to tune in. So thanks to those who still follow and tune in. You are appreciated. I do plan to continue sweatsuiting for now, and I also do plan to stream more when the next set comes out, but I'm not committing to anything specific. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Who should we finish the night rating? Is Hunter still in the sweatsuit? I see he's on. He's playing the cube, it looks like. So, no, yeah, he's probably playing in the sweatsuit still. So I'm going to raid Hunter since I think he's still in the sweatsuit. Have a good weekend, Salt. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night, Ixo. Thanks to everybody who stopped in, who watched. Hope you had fun. The video will be on YouTube, so if you missed like the draft portion and you came in like during the match or something and you want to see like the cube draft, feel free to check it out. I will point out, I don't know this cube. I literally don't know what you're supposed to draft in this cube. I don't know what's good. I think my deck was all right. I mean, I lost some pretty close games and stuff. It felt like the deck performed okay. But yeah, I definitely am not an expert on this cube. I literally had no idea what was going on. Other than that, everybody have a good weekend. Enjoy your drafts, and I will see you next time.